Welcome to Wildcat Park for a second outing this week of Eagan Wildcat baseball. We have the Apple Valley Eagles traveling across the metro to take on the Eagan Wildcats in a South Suburban Baseball Conference matchup. I'm Casey Lux. I'm joined today by a new man to the booth. My color man today is Scott Sethny. Scott, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Casey. It's good to be here.
Awesome. Well, great. I love to hear it. So Egan's taking the field here. We're going to get you some graphics and lineups here once my main man Tim passes those along to us. But a wonderful day. Sun's out. A little windy again, as always. And I think if you've watched enough Eagan baseball, and Scott knows this too, there's a whole lot of tree cover around here, Scott. So the wind's always blowing somewhere at Eagan Ballpark.
You know, I've noticed that this spring in its entirety, it's been windy.
Yeah.
Nonstop wind. At least this time, if we get some rain out of this, I'm going to blame myself.
Well, yeah. See, I didn't want you to bring up that four-letter R word, but that's okay. But yeah, we do have Eagan at home today. It's their let's see, what day today? Thursday, Scott. So that's their fourth game of the week. They had Rosemont on Monday, 11-4 win. They had a win on Tuesday against Burnsville, and then a tough 8-inning loss and extra innings to the number 2 team in state, Farmington Tigers, yesterday, and that was an 8-5 game. Eagan tied it up with 1 run in the bottom of the 7th, Scott, to send it to extras and just kind of ran them out a little bit pitching. So I'll let Scott run through the lineup here for the Apple Valley Eagles.
Yeah, coming up for Apple Valley, they're going to start out with a couple of Chamberlains. Their catcher's number 4, Max Chamberlain, followed by their center fielder, Leo Chamberlain. Pitching today is Miles Jensen. Batting fourth is number 7, their DH, Ryan Christensen. Ben Jackson's batting 6th. He's number 17. He's playing third base. Their shortstop is Jackson Thornberg.
There you go.
Thornburg.
And that's Chase, just so you know.
All right. Number 24, Chase Walker, is playing first. Second baseman is Marcus Anderson. He's number 11. And batting last is their left fielder, Joe O'Brien, number 2.
And then I'll make a quick mention, too. The DH is Ryan Christensen, and he'll be hitting today for the right fielder, which is Mason Selly. So we are all set to go. We got Chamberlain starting us off here at the plate. Brendan Madiman is your starter, and I'll get you some stats here as the game goes on. Madiman, a freshman, and if my memory serves me correct, I believe it's his second start of the season. So we'll pass along some stats. Madiman got some action in the first game of the season, actually, the home opener against Eastview for his first varsity ever appearance in relief. That first fastball got past the catcher, London Borg,
right at us.
and came right back to us. But we're all set to play. 1-0 count, heater down the middle for a strike. So 1-1 count to the catcher, Chamberlain. And you know what? I was going to say this, Scott. I got excited when I saw a catcher as a leadoff hitter.
Oh, I always like to see the catchers at leadoff.
Right.
My son plays catcher on the 10th grade team, and they always have the opinion that their catchers are not their best athletes on the field, not the most fleet of foot. But
right.
Hey, if you're batting leadoff as a catcher,
absolutely,
they're expecting big things from you.
Yeah, and that means you have obviously great back control, right? You have disciplined approach at the plate, and then have some wheels behind you. I mean, not everybody has to be a slow catcher. There's a new era of catchers, right?
That's right. The tree trunk legs aren't necessarily a thing.
All right, hot shot right back to Madam, and he was going to almost take it to himself, but he tosses it over to Haivare for the first out of the inning, bringing up the second Chamberlain of the day, and that's Leo, the center fielder. No, I was going to take a step back real quick, too, and, you can also notice on the major league side of things, there's more and more athletes behind the plate that are catchers. It's not, the guys that are 240 pounds, right, that can't barely move.
Yep.
Like a prime example, I think the catcher for the Phillies, I think he's had like 5 years in a row of 20-plus stolen bases, right?
Sure.
So I got a little excited because that's just you don't get to see that very often. It's a little bit of a rarity to see a leadoff hitting catcher.
Yeah, went through a lot of years with seeing Buster Posey and Joe Mauer do some catching. There's some real athletes back there. Not to say that the catcher's not a real athlete. Didn't mean it that way.
No.
But a lot of them are built the same. Gotta agree.
So Madiman primarily is a two-pitch pitcher, fastball, curveball. There's a fastball hit up top, and that's going to be over the top of Eckerly for the first hit of the ball game. So he retires Chamberlain back to himself, but then the second Chamberlain comes in with a base hit up the middle over the top of the shortstop, Eckerly. We'll get across the diamond here in a bit, let you know of the Eagan defense. But that's bringing up now the pitcher today is number 21, Miles Jensen for the Eagles. Eagles do come in today, Scott, 3-6 overall, 2-6 in the conference. Wildcats come into today 3-5 overall and 3-5 in the conference. There's the Uncle Charlie from their first strike. So this is a big game in the seedings, as you know, Scott, because both teams are trying to climb up, get closer to the top, closer to the middle for getting ready for playoff action come mid to late May or late May.
It was nice to see Eagan get a few wins in a row in the last week after that rough start, especially starting with that exhibition against Grand Rapids.
Yeah, absolutely. And Scott was doing the PA announcing for me that day, so he got the bird's eye view. I hope he stayed a little warmer than we did down on the field because it was game time 32. There's a heater in there for a strike, fouled off. Quickly 0-2 count, one down here in the top of the first. Wildcat Park, Apple Valley Eagles taking on the Eagan Wildcats. Freshman on the mound is Madiman, throwing to his sophomore behind the plate, Lunenborg. Jensen, his counterpart as a pitcher, at the plate. That one's low. So it looks like early on here, Madiman's obviously trying to establish the fastball, wouldn't you say, Scott?
Yep, I would agree. I think that's what he wants to kind of rely on most of this game.
Yep. Get the fastball going, then you can start working in the curveball as the game goes on. There's the hook. That's fouled back to the track and field. Across the diamond, I'll let you know, too, across the outfield first is Joe Anderson in left, Tate Gage in center. Eddie Moore is in right today. And then across the infield, we'll get that after this next pitch. Chamberlain taking his lead at first, taking off, fastball's up, throw down to second, not in time, knocked down by Eckerly. So Chamberlain gets a stolen base here on the day early on.
Yeah, typically those high pitches are good ones to catch a runner on, but that one was a little too high for Lumber.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you hope to catch them. You hope if you're the defensive team, right, that it's a fastball and maybe it's outside, like you said, or up high, right, as opposed to a changeup or off speed. But an excellent jump there by Chamberlain. So 2-2 count, one down to Jensen. Fastball, foul back. Nice at bat here early on for Jensen. Across the infield, you're going to have Theo King at third, Ryan Eckerly, the senior, at short, Aiden Canty at second, Tony Hivari at first today for the Wildcats. And that's primarily, Scott, what the lineup's been lately for the Wildcats. The one kind of change today is Eddie Moore is in right field. And we've seen a bivvy of a few different guys out in right field throughout the year. So the heater gets by Jensen, Madiman's first strikeout of the day.
That was a nice little battle. I'm glad to see him come back with that pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and there you go once again. Perfect. And thank you, Tim, the director, Anderson, to Gage, to Moore, going left to right on your TV screen. The infield, King, Eckerly, Canty, Hivari, and then Lunenborg behind the dish. And Ryan Christensen steps in at the number 4 spot. He's a designated hitter today. Fouled down the line. He's going to be hitting for the right fielder, Mason Selly. So little known fact, Scott, is this one's kind of near and dear to Coach Butler's heart because he was a Apple Valley Eagle himself.
Oh,
so he was a hockey, lacrosse, and a baseball player for the Eagles.
That's right.
So obviously he bleeds blue and green now for the Wildcats, but it's I always think it's always when you coach in the same conference that you played in, I think it would trick your eyes that you keep seeing the uniform that either you wore or that you were synonymous for all those years, right?
Sure, I'm sure that jumped into the pregame speech a little bit.
Right. Base hit, one hopper to Gage. Are they going to send Chamberlain? They are. They're going to bring him in. Havari's relay not in time. So Apple Valley attacks first here on that base hit RBI by Christensen. A nice relay from Gage to Hivari, but obviously we saw Chamberlain's speed on that stolen base prior. It looked like for a split second that he kind of thought about holding him.
It did. When he got to third base, I thought they might have a play on him, but he ended up beating that throw by a couple of steps.
Yeah, good relay. I mean, good throw, good relay, just speed beat the play. So Madiman here, 2 down, fastball pop back. Doing an excellent job, though, of throwing strikes. And I would say that pretty much just those 2 base hits are pretty much the only 2 that got away from him a little bit, that were kind of right over the the meat of the plate.
Right. I didn't see the game last night against Farmington, but I know the prior game when it was cold and it was rainy, we were just praying for them to throw strikes.
Yes.
And it became an issue, especially for Burnsville.
Yep. Yeah, that was there was a whole lot of walking that day, right?
Yes.
So we like to keep a good game moving here today, good clean game moving, keep those errors off the scoreboard, and have the kids put the ball in play or have the pitchers dominate them on the mound if doing so. So Ben Jackson here is up at the plate with a 1-1 count. Ben is the third baseman for the Eagles. Madiman's heater up high, 2-1 count, 2 down. Top of first here, Wildcat Park.
Always impressive to see your freshman come in and throw like this.
Absolutely. Nope. And and where Eagan's been somewhat blessed, right, over the years is, last year it was Will Mitchell and Brody Illa, right, that came up and primarily were pitcher-only guys. They call them, the kids call them POs, right?
Sure.
But now seeing Brendan, obviously, big, strong kid and not afraid to obviously throw varsity innings.
Absolutely.
And, now with some injuries, is going to be called upon to probably be a starter. Base hit gets past the diving Eckerly out to Anderson for the third hit of the inning as Madiman looks to get that last and final out of the inning here to get the boys in the dugout to hit. That's going to bring up a left-handed hitting Jackson Thornborg, the shortstop. Coming in today's game, Madiman, this is his second start of the year, so prior he had 1 start, 3 games pitched, 6 innings, 3 earned runs, so basically 1 run per inning, 1 run per 2 innings, and 5 walks, 3 Ks, and a 3.5 ERA. Curveball low, misses. So solid ERA though early on. 3.5 and high school ball is obviously, you want to try to get it below 3 if you can, but that's still a great start for him. And he's kept the walks for the most part at a minimum.
Casey, correct me if I'm wrong. We saw Madiman against Grand Rapids, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I think he was, if I remember right, he started that day. Yeah. That was his start.
Yeah, he threw well.
Yep, that was his start. So yeah, he started. I think he went about 3 or 4. It was kind of a relief pitcher day, if you remember that day, because they went him to to Salas, to Shilgren, and then Kemp came in and got the win. Curveball misses up and out. 2-1 count. 2 outs. 1-0 lead here early on for the Eagles. But yeah, as I mentioned, Brendan will be probably called upon, more and more now as a starter. I think, to start the year, I think he was looked upon as being for the most part, a reliever because they were hoping to go, Mitchell into Illa, into Lockemeyer, and any of those 3 in order. And with the unfortunate injury to Brody Illa, the sophomore, that's going to open up, obviously, some starting duties.
Sure.
And that's probably going to tack on some more innings for the relievers as well.
Yep, agreed. Especially, this streak that we're on, 5 games in 6 days.
Yes.
Need as many arms as you can. So, yeah,
Yep.
I'll be relying on some younger arms this week.
Yeah, I think as much as, the young high schoolers love baseball, I think they want to get a win today and look forward to probably a quick, light practice tomorrow and just, rest the body for a little bit, right? Fastball looked good to me, but I'm not behind the plate today, Scott. So that's a first walk of the day for Madiman, and that's going to bring up now the first baseman, Chase Walker. So 2 down, bases full, 1-0 score, 3 singles by the Eagles with, was it Christensen or Jackson that had the RBI?
That was Christensen.
Yep, Christensen. And we're going to get our first visit from the pitching coach, Luke Degerman, in his 2nd season with the Wildcats. Luke himself was a college player at the same alma mater as myself and Steve Butler, Concordia St. Paul. And then they have former Wildcat Will Huseman there now. Future Wildcat is Connor Stropp, who's out all season due to that ACL injury that he had in football. And I heard a little rumor for you, Scott, too, that another Concordia pitcher, another Eagan pitcher, Danny Lockemeyer, might be considering Concordia as well. So
the pipeline is healthy.
We might be getting one going here. And there's still two kind of prominent coaches there. The head coach is Neil Lerner. The head assistant is Coach Butler and I's former college coach, Mark McKenzie. So
sure. I had the pleasure of sitting in the PA box the last couple of games with Connor Stropp.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed talking to him. I think he's really paying attention to the games, even while he's out with injury. So
yeah,
he's got some good perspective. I expect good things from him next year.
Yeah, I know. I know. Talking to Connor, I know it's obviously eating at him that he's not out there. That his knee isn't fully regained. And he hasn't got the okay from the doctors. But he also saving a lot of throws on that shoulder for a senior season,
Absolutely.
right? All right, fastball hit to Eckerly. His relay is going to be in time to Hivari for the third and final out. Yes. So for the Apple Valley Eagles, I'm getting ahead of myself. 1 run on 3 hits and 3 left on. We're going to stay here in between. We're going into the bottom of the first inning for the Wildcats. And I'll get my thank yous in right away so I don't forget, Scott. Introduce everybody to the wonderful camera crew here that we have and the workers behind Eagan TV. We got Tim, the director, Ken on replay, Savannah on graphics, Sarah, camera 1, Nick on camera, and Jared on camera as well. And the camera crew are a lot happier today than they were on Tuesday or that they were on Saturday. Yes, and as you can see, Tim, the director, is just following my cues to a T over there. We got 69 degrees. It feels like it's almost 75, 80 out here.
Oh.
We do still have 15-mile-an-hour southeast winds. So on your TV screens, if you do see the flag right now, that means it's going to be going out to left center over that green monster. So we'll see if either team can get that launch angle just about right and get one up over that green monster today, Scott.
Yeah, Tuesday's game, midway through the session, all of a sudden that wind started shifting, came directly towards home plate and right into the PA booth.
Yep.
Was not happy with
well,
that.
we were in the elements. And we had umbrellas over the equipment. I mean, you will probably see what we were doing. I mean, we got rained on lightly for the second inning, got rained on pretty heavily for the fourth inning, and then obviously there was a long delay. But the good news, folks, is that all the equipment looks, cross your fingers, like it made it through the storm, and everything is working well. We'll get Tate Gage to come up here, this junior center fielder, and then once we get the Eagan lineup, I'll let Scott run that down for us once Tim gets us queued up in no time. So Tate Gage will step in, hot hitter as of late. There you go. Why don't you run through real quick, Scott?
All right. Tate Gage obviously leading off. Will Mitchell will be our DH, batting second. Brandon Lungenberg hitting his usual third spot. Tony Havari at first base, batting fourth. Aiden Canty at second base, batting fifth. Theo King at third, followed by shortstop Ryan Eckerly. Batting eighth is Joe Anderson out in left, and Eddie Moore out in right.
Perfect.
Follow us up.
Good job. Got them all correctly pronounced and everything. So 2-0 quickly to Gage. Outside fastball is in there for a strike. And then as you saw, the designated hitter today is Will Mitchell, who's the hot-hitting Will Mitchell. And Will is hitting for the pitcher today, Brendan Madiman. 2-1 count. Heater low. I didn't get the scouting report on Jensen, unfortunately, so we'll have to use our eyes to see if it's a slider, if it's a slurve, or if it's a sweeper, if it's a sinker, right, Scott?
He's got a slow delivery, but
yeah,
so far he seems to be going fastball heavy.
Yep, good snap. And that's what you tend to see, right, to that first batter of the game. Want to make sure you can first control that fastball before you start working the off speed. Another fastball. 2-hopper hit over to Jackson.
Oh.
Jackson's throw mishandled by Walker, and Gage will reach.
Jackson made a nice pick over there on the
Yeah.
short hop, but that throw just got a little away from him.
Yep. Yeah, kind of that tricky throw, right, where it's when they say up the line, right, meaning that it's towards the batters or the runners, the baseline, right, and then in doing so, it's always tough because they want to try to avoid a collision. They also want to try to make that play and still get their foot on the base. So, an error on the board early on for the Eagles. Sophomore hitting designated hitter Will Mitchell. And as I mentioned, the kid is hot as of late, folks. He went 4 for 5 with 4 RBIs on Monday against Rosemont. Fastball misses. Check out some of these numbers, Scott. 444 average, 545 on base percentage. Second on the team, tied with Canty with 6 RBIs. So, and that's all in 18 at-bats, 22 plate appearances.
That's tremendous.
Gage takes off and is going to make it in safe. And now Gage is 7 for 8 on the season, stolen bases.
Just what you want. Get a guy in a scoring position for your hottest hitter.
Yep. And one thing that the Wildcats are looking forward to is their guy on the on-deck circle, kind of their veteran on the team, which is weird to say since he's only a sophomore. But he was the everyday starter last year and actually was up on varsity a little bit as an 8th grader, Brandon Lundenborg. He had a hot day yesterday, went 3 for 4, home run to right field, no wind assisted, Scott. 2 RBIs and 2 other singles.
I was at the sophomore field about 200 yards away. I think we heard that
Okay.
shot.
Okay. All right. I think you probably noticed this. It's probably trickled down to your son's team, whether it was a freshman or sophomore. But, Eagan likes to play a very aggressive style, especially on the bases. As we see Mitchell get a walk here early on. So Jensen now has runners on first and second, nobody out, bringing up the catcher, the sophomore, Brandon Lundenborg. Maybe you've seen it now on, the 9th grade team last year, the 10th grade team this year. But the Wildcats on the season, very aggressive, 30 for 35 in stolen bases, 85%. That's just a beautiful number.
That's impressive. That means they're picking their spots really well.
Absolutely. So Jensen now having to go from the stretch. Gage at second, reached on that air. Curveball misses out. And that's the one thing, too. I think you noticed that, Scott, between, when you're doing your PA duties on Saturday and Tuesday, the bats have started to heat up. Runs have started to kind of follow. There's a shot into the gap for a base hit past the diving Thornburg. Gage is going to stay at third. It's going to bring bases loaded up. And Lundenborg now 4 for 5 in his last 2 games here, yesterday and today.
We start talking about trends. Even if some of those don't turn into hits, the Eagan team is hitting the ball hard lately.
Yes.
They're barreling up,
Yep.
which is a great sign from early in the season. So I think the hope was that eventually these hard hit balls turn into hits, and we're starting to see it now.
Yeah. And one thing that you probably know, too, just from being around the program, I mean, they did lose 10 seniors last year, right? And, a lot of those seniors were their everyday fielders. They were also, the guys that had their doubles, their home run power, right? So I think coming into the season, I think the Wildcats knew that, they were going to have to play more of a single-double type of game. They're going to have to be smart on the bases, take bases when they can, and potentially bunt guys over as well. Play a little small ball to get those big innings. Fastball in there for a strike to Haivare, the first baseman.
Yeah, we've seen over the years that Coach Butler isn't afraid to drop down bunts, isn't afraid to steal some bases. So I think that's going to be the recipe for doing some success here in the latter half of the season.
Yep. Uncle Charlie in there for a strike, the old hook. Got a pinch runner over at first, the designated runner, which is Jackson Dwyer. He got dusted off yesterday, got a couple stolen bases in his first varsity action.
I know the Dwyer boys well from watching them on my son's teams, and they run like the wind.
You have to remind me, I think is Jackson a freshman?
Jackson's a sophomore.
Okay, sophomore. Okay. I'm still getting to know some of the guys that just got called up in the last day or two.
Yeah, he's got a brother, Declan, who used to play baseball. I think he played football. An injury kind of put him in the track area right now, so he is taking his running skills on the track.
Okay, so we're going to take a look at the Eagan. I keep saying Eagan. It's the Eagles and Eagan. So the Apple Valley Eagles. We got Joe Bryan in left, Leo Chamberlain in center, Mason Selly in right, Ben Jackson to Jackson Thornburg, Marcus Anderson and Chase Walker across the infield, and then Max Chamberlain is your catcher, who is that leadoff hitter. And then Miles Jensen is doing the pitching here today. Gage is at third. Mitchell is at second. Dwyer is at first. Ground ball down the line. Foul ball. Late call there, Scott.
That was
I almost started calling it fair and started watching these guys come in.
I try not to judge too much. He's got a better view than I did, but that was probably a pretty close call.
Well, and you didn't see third base coach Zach Walls, get upset, and same thing with Gage, right? It wasn't like Gage was coming home saying what's going on here. So it was the right call. Gage had 2 of those yesterday down the third base line. Curveball in there for a strike. So Jensen obviously getting a good feel for that curveball now here after the first couple batters. Gage reached on an air. Mitchell reached on a walk. Lundenborg with a single. Curveball late moving in there for a strike 3 on Canty. Back-to-back Ks for Jensen as he's trying to work out of this jam.
Tied him up a little bit on that one. I think he was expecting something else.
Yeah, I think he was looking fastball, right? Theo King's going to step in. Junior, third baseman, 375 on base percentage. Got 4 runs on the season, 4 for 4 stolen bases. So Eagan trying to tie this thing up here with 2 outs. Curveball misses low. Looks like early on, Jensen to me looks fastball, curveball. I haven't seen a changeup or a slider yet. It's kind of weird now that to not see a slider because all these kids in high school are throwing sliders.
Yeah, you're not kidding. It's amazing, these kids. And
Yeah.
you don't know. I don't know how, it's evolved from the days past when they said, we don't want you throwing curveballs or anything with movement on it until your growth is essentially complete. But
Exactly.
it's a different animal nowadays.
Yep. But, I think, and we don't need to dive deep into baseball here, but, that is on the major league side of things, that is the issue right now with all the elbow issues and all the Tommy John, the UCLs, right? And a lot of it they're saying is the heavy slider use and the heavy sweeper use.
Yep.
There's a big curve in there for a strike, making it 2-2. I think, we won't give out our ages here, Scott, but I think we come from the age, though, of, you really weren't supposed to throw curveballs until you were 14, 15 years old.
Absolutely.
I mean, almost a 9th, 10th grader, right?
Yeah.
Now you got guys that are throwing sliders and curveballs at a very young age. 2 hopper over to Anderson, over to Walker in time to retire King. So for the Wildcats in the first, no runs on that 1 hit, the 1 error, and they did have 3 left on. We'll be back in 60 seconds. The Eagles leading the Wildcats 1-0 here after 1 on Eagan TV.
Wash, washy, wash, washy, wash, wash your hands. Scrub it while you sing this song. Wash, washy, wash, washy, wash, wash. Rub your hands and fingers and the places in between. Using soap and water makes your hands so clean. Wash your hands. Great job, you're almost done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now dry.
Wash your hands for 20 seconds, just like Elmo.
Fostering a pet for a friend or neighbor can keep families together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
Back here at Wildcat Park. 1-0 is our score. Got the white stripes in the background, trying to get that defense fired up. Casey Lux joined today by Scott Sethney. My right-hand man, Skip Newton, had to skip and stay home somewhere. So we got Scott here today, so blessed to have him. Give a shout out to our relief pitcher, and he was a really good relief pitcher for the Wildcats over the years, lefty Luke Roiger, who was a senior last year. I don't think he showed up today, Scott, thinking he was going to be the PA announcer, but that's just how things work.
Well, he's always ready,
Exactly.
just like a relief pitcher. You never know when you're going to get the call.
I'm trying not to listen too much because I'm worried that he's going to take my job pretty quick here when I'm not doing the games on TV, but happy to have him. Marcus Anderson, the second baseman, comes up. I think it's already the 3rd lefty of the lineup for the Eagles against Madaman. Fastball swung on straight back for a strike. Eagles had 3 hits in the top of the first. Madaman, though, did a nice job. Even though the rally came with 2 outs, Madaman did a nice job of controlling it and keeping it just to that 1 run. Curveball misses in. Oh, actually
looks like
did
it
hit him.
tagged him.
Okay. I got blocked by this little bar here on the backstop. So first hit by pitch of the day. And that's going to bring up the number 9 hitter, which is left fielder Joe O'Brien. So we'll see if they put Anderson in motion or a bunt play to move him up here early on against Madaman. Madaman, a freshman. Second start of the season, swinging on that first pitch fastball. We're Scott, give us your run back here if we get this replay of that hit by pitch.
Well, Casey, you said you missed it. I think a lot of people missed it. It barely grazed him. I think it touched just right above the knee. But
just caught him.
He's going to be okay.
Yeah, he wasn't hopping around or anything. He wasn't selling it, I guess is what I was saying.
Nope. Showing bunt.
Little fake bunt action. Lunenburg's throw over to first as Anderson gets back in time. And the leadoff hitter is Max Chamberlain is on deck. King playing in on the grass. Could be a double play here. Canty to Eckerly. Eckerly to Haivare. 4-6-3 in your book, Scott. One pitch, 2 outs, pitcher's best friend.
Love it. I'm sure he's appreciative of that. That was a nice pick by Canty at second base.
Yeah, it took a scoop on him, didn't it, late?
Yep. This infield still early in the season has a lot of divots in it. I think that hit one of them. But,
well, better than gopher or groundhog holes.
That's right.
There's that replay. Plenty of time. Heater just misses in. And, and the ball kind of took him towards the base, so he had just a nice, underhand flip to Eckerly. Eckerly, I've always been impressed with him with his strong arm from short. I think a lot of times, teams would walk onto the field and be, and be like, oh, he's kind of smaller in stature, he's not a 6-foot shortstop. And all of a sudden you see that first ground ball hit to him, and then all of a sudden you see he's got the cannon over there at shortstop.
It's great to have a big arm out there.
Madiman induces a pop-up, bringing in Eddie Moore or Canty. Canty calls him off in time for the third out of the inning. So, Apple Valley Eagles, no runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on. 1-0 is our score, coming in back, and 60 seconds for the bottom of the second on Eagan TV.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry, I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
My character, Shazam, knows all about growing up in a family full of teenage superheroes. They're bold.
Where's everyone going?
To fight crime.
Okay.
Adventurous. Shazam! There's never a dull moment. And no matter what happens, they'll always have your back. All they need is a place to grow and be themselves. And the best part is, you don't have to be a superhero to adopt a teen. Learn more about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org. You can't imagine the reward.
How you holding up? Nothing wrong with getting help. If I promise to look into it, will you drop it and help me build this fence? Now you need my help.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
And we're back. We'll give the coaches on both teams here, give them their claim to fame. How about that? Visiting coaching staff is Jeremy Hendrickson's the head coach for the Eagles, assisted by Brad Vandenveren and Bill Goodman. Bill Goodman was the longtime head coach for the Eagles and still now assistant. And on the Wildcat side, we got head coach Steve Butler, who you'll probably hear a few references. I won't give away too many college stories, Scott. I'll keep those off here. And then we got the pitching coaches, Luke Degerman. And then we have Zach Walls coaching third, as well as kind of the outfield guy. A little bit of jack of all trades. And Paul Weinberg is manning first base for the Wildcats. Ryan Eckerly, senior shortstop, steps in against Jensen. Follows that first pitch away for foul ball. 0-1 now, quickly our count. 1-0 is our score. Bottom of the second. It's a beautiful day, just minus the 50-mile-an-hour wind, Scott. If we get it down to 5, it would be excellent today.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know what's been going on with weather lately, but I will take the sunshine anytime. Yes.
Sunshine, no clouds, no chance of rain. We love that. I just think that, I'm just, doing this now for, 8 years, technically 7 seasons. There's a curveball in there, just misses. Chamberlain hopped up. I think he might have thought that was strike 3, even though that was only been strike 2. But what I've just noticed over the years is just without any tree cover, it's just you're going to get wind out of this park.
That's true.
And you hope that it's blowing in the same direction for both teams, and if it makes foul balls difficult, like that one, that it affects both teams equally, right?
We're seeing a couple of balls, the wind blowing from right field to left. That one just blew out of reach of the fielders.
Yeah, shortstop Thornburg, yep.
Yep, a couple of those that were hit to right field kind of looked like they were going more right.
Yeah, well, yeah, that last pop-up, I mean, you can tell that wind really killed it because Eddie Moore took a step back and then came flying in thinking he was the one. I think Canty, to his credit, didn't give up on it too early because it was really just about 2 feet onto the grass for him.
Yeah, that might have been a problem for the right fielder, so good to see our infielders actually taking charge out there.
Eckerly looks at a close pitch on the knees inside for ball 3, so quickly now a full count to the left-handed hitting shortstop Eckerly. Eckerly gets a walk, leads off with a walk for the inning. That's going to bring up the senior, Joe Anderson. Left field today. Let's take a look at Eckerly. He's 1 for 2 on the bases, so maybe we get him in motion. Anderson also a threat on the bases, 4 for 4 on the year, 5 runs scored. Showing bunt early, pitch from Jensen, fastball outside corners in. Looks like they're playing Ben Jackson about even with third, and obviously if he sees a bunt, then he'll come charging in. But they're not overly anticipating a bunt here early on, Scott.
No, looks like they're just showing bunt, seeing how the reaction is going to be in the infield.
Fastball misses low to Anderson. On deck, the right fielder, Eddie King, for the Wildcats. And I will say this too, Scott. I mean, a hard knock, tough loss. Let's see what we get from a throw from Chamberlain down to second, not in time. Eckerly gets the second stolen base of the year. I think, one thing, I feel like I can't speak for all baseball players, but competitors would think this way. After a tough loss to the number 2 team in state, Farmington, undefeated Farmington for that matter, tied up in the 7th, had runners in position to even try to win it in the 7th, and then give up 3 in the top of the 8th, you would want to just kind of turn around and come back and play the next day.
I believe it. I think having a strong performance against a top team like Farmington probably just builds a little bit of confidence and then leaves that bad taste in your mouth at the end. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think they do want to get right back at it.
Yeah. Jensen's fastball in there for a strike, 3-2 to Anderson. And, the Wildcats were coming off of, their first win was on Saturday in that non-conference game against the Grand Rapids Thunderhawks. And then, 2 straight South Suburban Conference wins. So, a win today for them is going to be massive because that'll be 3 out of 4 wins in the conference, 4 out of 5, as Anderson takes ball 4. So back-to-back walks by Jensen.
Seems Wildcats are growing confident. They hadn't really been blown out in the first few games of the year, but those losses obviously hard to take. There is confidence that's going to turn around, and we're starting to see signs of it.
Yep. They were getting good pitching. That's what I would mention, whether it was the veterans or the guys that had experience as the starters, and the relievers are all new guys. So they were getting solid pitching. They just weren't scoring enough runs early on. Eddie Moore drops on a bunt. It's going to be fielded by Chamberlain. His throw to Walker in time. Moore does his job. Moves Anderson to second. Eckerly to third, bringing up back the leadoff hitter, Tate Gage.
Nice play by Chamberlain, picking that up, taking control. I think that was the only opportunity to get him right there.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. Nope, that was the play. As Eddie Moore gets picked up by his teammates in the dugout for doing his job. 1 pitch, move the runners over for a sacrifice. Tate Gage steps in. Had to walk his first at bat of the game. Curveball misses out.
Once again, playing out to probably how Coach Butler wanted this to be. They get runners in scoring position for their top of the order.
Yep. And like you mentioned too, not scoring a lot of runs. The interesting thing was they were scoring runs their first 2 road games. Grounder to Thornburg. His only plays first to Walker in time. RBI for Gage as Eckerly comes in for the first run for the Wildcats. So Gage does his job, gets a run in, bringing up the sophomore hot-hitting Will Mitchell as Anderson scoots over to third. But what I was going to say real quick was there 2 losses on the road earlier in the year because they've had such a home-heavy schedule here early half, where both games that they lost by 1, they lost late. 1 was an extra innings, 1 I think was a walk-off. So, they were real close to tasting victory on the road early on, And then now they're starting to see that, those consistent at-bats are starting to pay off, and the pitching is doing its part.
Yep, agreed. I think they're just trying to work out what their bullpen's going to be. Obviously, like we said, so many games in so many days, you're just kind of looking for fresh arms where you can find them. But I think once the season kind of takes shape, they'll understand exactly who they rely on for the back half of games. 1-1
count to Will Mitchell, designated hitter today. Curveball outside, 2-1 count. We already went over Mitchell's stats because he's the hot hitting, I don't know what you want to say, the Raising Cane's hot chicken hitter of the game. I don't know. The season. In there for a strike, 2-2's our count. But yeah, it's, it just shows you, the amount of seniors, the amount of everyday players that they lost last year.
Right.
2 guys, as you watch curveball in there, strike 3. So Jensen gets out of that jam, does give up that 1 run. So Eagan does get 1 run on no hits, no errors, and 1 left on. We're all tied up. 60 seconds. We'll be back on the top of the 3rd here on Eagan TV.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a 3rd-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut, the one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Back here at Wildcat Park as Brendan Madiman getting warmed up here for the top of the 3rd. 1-1 is our score as the Wildcats tied it up in the bottom of the 2nd. Give us a quick recap of that inning there for us, Scott, as I know you got it all figured out in the book there.
Exactly how you'd draw it up. You got a couple of guys on base right away with the 2 walks.
Yep.
Sacrificing them over, so playing that small ball, hoping to get a little bit more out of that inning. But when you can induce a ground ball, score that run, have a productive out, I think that's exactly what they wanted to get out of it.
Yep.
So ties it up. That whole new ball game started here in the 3rd.
Yeah, and and Eagan had bases loaded against Jensen in the 1st inning, right? And that looked like that could potentially be a big inning for them. So on their end, the hitters had kept their same approach, kept consistent, and came back and tied it up quickly here in the 2nd.
Yeah.
So
you don't know if pitch count comes into play at all, but we are seeing that he's thrown a lot of pitches thus far.
Yes, right. Yeah, a lot of high counts, a few walks, right, for Jensen. So center fielder is Leo Chamberlain. And Leo is going to step in to lead off here in the top of the 3rd for the Eagles. What did Chamberlain do last time for us, Scott?
So last time he got a single right up the middle.
That's right.
Kind of a soft line drive.
Yep.
And then stole a base. He ended up coming around to score eventually.
Yep, that's right. Okay. So just making sure that the technology is working. So Eagan, so for the people at home, and maybe some of those that have watched, catcher Brandon Lundenborg does have an earpiece in, just kind of like what the majors would have. And then he's able to get the relay from the pitching coach, Luke Degermont. And that is actually something that was actually legalized, if you want to say, or allowed this year for the first time in high school baseball, or at least in Minnesota State high school baseball. So not every team has adapted to it yet. I really can't say I've seen another team with the same technology. But I think, as a current pitcher for my town ball team and in high school as well, just taking away the chance of getting crossed up. Ground ball to Eckerly, his throw across the diamond, Havare in time to retire Chamberlain. But I think the biggest thing, right, is that you don't get confused and say, well, hold on, you said, you told me curveball, I called curveball in, you wanted curveball out, right?
Yep, it seems everything trickles down. You see the majors using their technology to call pitches, and at this level, you see a lot of the head coaches actually calling pitches. So this probably saves them a little bit of time rather than staring in the dugout, getting some signs, transferring that to the pitchers.
Correct. And also just worrying that, you know, at some point the visiting team's going to pick up on those signs, right, and so forth. So now just kind of you eliminate that factor. Number 3 hitter is the pitcher, starting pitcher Miles Jensen, as he steps in against Madiman. Madiman grounder again to Eckerly. This one gets underneath his glove, out to center field for the first error of the day for the Wildcats. I kind of got blocked by the ump there, so I didn't know if it just took a in-between hop or
that was
what?
one of those hard hit balls that,
Sure.
yeah, hit some grooves in the dry ground and kind of tricked him up in that mid-hop.
I think with my height level, maybe I should be sitting on almost like a bar stool, so I'm above this
I was almost
one
thinking
bar,
bar
and get a little
stools would be,
higher,
yeah.
right? We like being in the elements when it's not raining or 32 degrees, though, so put us right down here, almost directly behind home plate, just a little bit off of the left-handed batter's box.
I would imagine the TV guys ask for a bar stool at the high school game, and you never know what the next request is going to be.
Exactly, right. That's exactly it. Brendan Madiman, the freshman, starting today. No action in the bullpen, only in the 3rd inning here. 1 out, top of 3rd, 1-1 is their score. Fouled straight back. Quickly 0-1. Outfield, for the most part, playing Christensen normally straight up. Gage is shaded a little more over to the right center side of the field. Eddie Moore playing in with that wind howling across the field. So there's no really need for the right fielders to play today to play too deep, since they're more than likely to be coming in for, you know, fly balls and going back. Curveball low, 1-1 our count. As I said earlier, for the most part, Madiman is a curveball fastball pitcher. I haven't seen a changeup yet. Here's his 1-1 delivery. Running is Jensen. Throw in time. Lunenborg with the heater down to Canty with the tag.
Another one of those high fastballs that Brandon was able to control and get that throw down. It was a good throw. It took a second for the umpire to make that call. I want to make sure that ball was in the glove.
Here's our replay, Scott, too. That thing was way high. Great tag, though, there by Canty.
That was a good reach.
Ball popped out to right to Eddie Moore. Retired for the 3rd out of the inning. So the Apple Valley Eagles, no runs and no hits. There was that 1 error and nobody left on. 1-1 is our score. We'll be back in 60 seconds at Wildcat Park on Eagan TV.
I'll see y'all.
I got some batteries and 2 flashlights.
What's up, champ?
Flashlights, cool.
I feel like you get taller every time I see you. Congratulations, Brandon. Game back to game.
Donating pet food can keep families together. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
Back here at Wildcat Park. 1-1 is our score. Casey Lux, joined today by Scott Sethny. Bottom of the 3rd inning. Number 3 hitter stepping in, and that's Brandon Lunenborg. Single in the 1st. Jensen pitch misses out. Lunenburg on the year. 296. Obviously, those 3 hits yesterday added to that. 424 on base percentage. Fastball misses up. Second on the team in doubles with 2. Leading the team, Scott, with 1 home run.
There it is.
4 RBIs on the season. And I think if memory serves me correctly, I think he finished last year as a freshman either first or second on the team in RBIs. 3-0 quickly. Jensen outside for a strike. But as Scott, as you mentioned earlier, Wildcats discipline at the plate and not giving in to some of those, errant pitches early on by Jensen.
Yeah, I think part of it's just kind of getting a gauge of exactly how this umpire calls them.
Yep.
I mean, we're starting to see a few high strikes early on. Now we're seeing some that are kind of painting the corners a little bit. He's calling those. So big strike zone. Probably going to play in the favor of the pitchers, but we'll see how the hitters react.
3-2 pitch, curveball misses outside, so Lunenburg will take that jaunt down to first, bringing up the first baseman, Tony Ivare. Probably also means that we're going to see some Jackson Dwyer action as the courtesy runner today for the catcher. Yeah. And we'll see if Coach Butler gets Dwyer in motion. As I mentioned, Dwyer 2 stolen bases yesterday. And I believe, let's see here, Tuesday was his first ever varsity game that he dressed for. So he's getting acclimated pretty quickly. Also at the same time, Drew Boyd and Drew McShane also got brought up. There we go, first pitch. You're gonna start calling me Tony Romo, Scott. 3 for 3 on the year for Dwyer. Now people are gonna think that I have the signs in my ear.
I like that, listening into what Butler has to say. But yeah, maybe that college connection would mean something.
Here's the replay. Great jump by Dwyer.
Yeah, like I said, these Dwyer boys, they do run like the wind. So as long as he gets a good jump out of that, and he sure did that time.
Yeah, strong throw by Chamberlain, but just the excellent jump beat the throw to the base. Tony Ivare, first baseman. Hit number 4. Jensen, curveball. We'll see, did he hold up? He did not. Ivare goes down on 3 pitches. Second baseman now is going to be Aiden Canty. Canty's a sophomore. 304 on base percentage. Tied for the second on the team with 6 RBIs, 5 runs on the season. And on Tuesday, 2 RBIs in that win over Burnsville. 11-1 win over Burnsville in 5 innings. Gets past Chamberlain. Dwyer scoots over to third. 90 feet away from taking the lead for the Wildcats.
Once again, guy on third, less than 2 outs. There's an opportunity to have some productive at-bats.
Yep. This is always, that interesting moment for hitters, right? Is because you want to be under control to put the ball in play and get the run in, but you also still want to be aggressive enough that if he, throws a cookie down the middle, that you can really crank on it, right?
Yep.
You don't want to be swinging out of your shoes because, a strikeout doesn't do any good, or a slow roller back to the pitcher is going to keep the guy at third. But
last few games, Canty's been having some good at bats in that regard. So I think just getting up there and getting a good swing on it is probably got the right guy on.
Big pop down the line to the left. Going to be fouled past the foul fence. My younger days, Scott, I probably would have jumped out of my seat thinking I had a chance to get out of here.
He put a good tag on it, and then that wind picked it up and just blew it straight left.
Well, and that wall is, so deceptive too, right?
The big green monster out here at Wildcat Park.
Nice job by Canty to fall off that curveball. There's so many times where a ball, off the bat looks like it, could go. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, that's going to be like 10 feet, short of the, 10 feet down from the top of the fence, right?
Yeah, the dimensions on this park are really interesting.
Yes.
You see.
Here's a nice piece of hitting by Canty. Out to right field. Great catch by Selly, but that's going to bring in Dwyer. 2-1 Canty with an excellent at-bat, fouled off 2 straight pitches, and then an excellent play by Selly to steal a double potentially away from Canty. But nonetheless, a run and an RBI in the book for Eagan Canty, the second baseman. Here you go, Scott.
I gotta believe that wind helped him out a little bit, but still, great diving catch out there.
Excellent work by the camera crew. Sarah, Nick, and Jarrett zooming in on that catch.
Once again, productive at bat. I'm sure he was thinking double out of that one, but
right.
He made the play, brought in the run.
Yeah, absolutely. Theo King, third baseman, steps in. 2 down. Now 3-0, excuse me. Scoreboard was behind on a pitch. But yeah, no, the wind, the wind obviously helped Selly, but Selly did an excellent job of running against that Bob Seger song, Against the Wind. Making that play. Ooh, fastball. It looked like it was right there, Scott. 4 straight pitches, his ball forward to King. I think that confused King for a second.
We've seen Jensen react a couple of times to the umpire. I think he's a little confused over that one as well.
Shortstop senior Ryan Eckerly steps in. Eckerly had a leadoff walk, if I'm not mistaken, last inning.
Do some quick math here, but I think that's 5 walks already.
Okay. So yeah, that'll be one thing to keep an eye on is at what point do we start seeing some action in the bullpen on the Eagles side. I think the pitch count, if I was told correct, is 105.
Yep.
You can start an at bat, you can start an at bat at 104 and go longer. Can't start an at bat at 105. Obviously he's far away from that, but 5 walks. Pitches are adding up. Throw over to Walker. King gets back in time. Eckerly at the plate. The senior, the shortstop. Another throw to Walker. Now I will say this, Scott. We talked about this, I think either game 1, Skip and I did. We kind of talked about wondering if some of the major league rule changes are ever going to come down to the high school level. The one that I personally wouldn't mind seeing as we watch that pitch come in, Eckerly gets a good tag on it down the line, and it's foul. Runs out of real estate as O'Brien was chasing down. The one rule that personally I would be okay with is that 2 throws over to first, or the 2 throws to the base for a pickoff, because you still see sometimes on the high school level of 6 throws over,
right.
But even within 1 at bat, right?
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, I'm not saying that you don't want to control the run game. I'm not saying that, but I just feel like that's the one that not necessarily to speed the game up, but you're just sitting there kind of going like, unless a lefty can get away with a little bit more when they got the sneaky move.
Well, one of those things that you actually notice on pitchers nowadays, they do get really caught up with the runners.
Right.
And sometimes it's to a fault.
Yes.
Where you start losing track of exactly while you're out there and lose track of where you are with the batter.
Yep.
And continuing throwing over, it distracts you a little bit. So,
yep.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you in that regard.
Yeah, that's just the one that that's the one that I think would maybe make the most sense if they did make a change and it trickled down. Curveball misses up 2-2.
Yeah, it's interesting to see in the major leagues. Some runners take advantage of that rule. So they'll take what's essentially a running lead just to distract the pitcher, knowing fully well he's not going to go.
Yes.
Just to draw that throw and get him an automatic base.
And as we're just talking about it, Jensen almost does snipe King over at first with Walker applying that tag. King just got that oven mitten into first base in time.
He's got King leaning a couple of times, but these throws over to first have been a bit high.
Yep. 2-2 pitch. Another throw over, and then he's going to get him. So let's just take everything I just said about and just cut that from the tape, Tim. Dump it. All righty. Anyways, Eagan gets 1 run on no hits. Excuse me, no hits, no errors, and then none left on as King got picked off. 2-1's our score. Coming back in 60 seconds. Top of the 4th with the Apple Valley Eagles batting here on Eagan TV.
I'll see y'all.
It's something about having that piece of paper. Some people think that's worth more than my skills.
I've run this place for 20 years, but I still need to prove that I'm more than what you see on paper.
You just gotta be so good they can't ignore you.
It's the way my mind works. I have a very mechanical brain.
Analytics and empathy. That's how I've gained clients.
I am more.
I'm more
than who I am on paper.
Back here, Casey Lux joined by Scott Sethny. South Suburban matchup. Here we go. We got the standings here, Scott. Yesterday we saw the #2 team in state, Farmington, get another win to go 8-0 in the conference early on. Apple Valley in that 7th spot at 3-5, whereas Eagan is in that 9th spot at 2-6. But as you can see, Scott, there is kind of a cluster between kind of Burnsville all the way down to Eagan. So all it takes is a couple wins, and you could slide from 9, 8, or 7, and you can find yourself 4 or 5, and then put yourself in position for a home game in the playoffs.
Yeah, speaking as a true Eagan resident, beating Farmington would have looked nice, but
Yes.
you know, despite losing yesterday, only a couple wins away from that second-place team.
Yeah, and teams that we've seen already this season here at home, already have seen Prior Lake, already have seen Eastview, already have seen, I believe, Lakeville, one of the Lakevilles, north or south. So we've already seen a lot of these teams, and as we mentioned before, Eagan has played them tough and just, tightly scored games. So I think what that kind of means to me, Scott, is that the conference is pretty well balanced. So I think what you might see is come playoff time, you might see some upsets if you get the right pitching matchups for those playoff games.
Absolutely. I think the pitching obviously coming around. We'd love to see a few more hits out there. Looking from the Burnsville game the other day when it was, 4 runs on something, or sorry, 11 runs on 4 or 5 hits?
It was like only 4 hits, 5, yeah. I mean, it was just a wild stat line.
A lot of walks, a lot of errors in that game, but I'd like to see the bats come alive a little bit.
Ben Jackson, the number 5 hitter, playing third base today, steps in. It's quickly 2-0 by the freshman Madiman. Popped up and foul. And on the scoreboard, kind of speaking to your point, I mean, right now you got the Eagles with 3 hits. They got all 3 hits in the first inning when they brought in only that 1 run.
Right.
So Madiman did a nice job of controlling that inning. Another foul ball. Whereas the Wildcats only have 1 hit today.
Yeah, and that was, again, a hard ball that was hit towards shortstop.
Yep, Lunenborg got it past the diving shortstop Thornburg.
Kind of notice a little bit, and I noticed my angle here. It looks like we're shading quite a bit towards right field.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, and I think, that probably, what that's telling you too, right, is as watch Madiman's fastball misses low 3-2 count, that they're pitching a lot of these hitters away, and they're also wanting Madiman's for his curveball to be, middle and away, not throwing curveballs in the inside corner.
Yeah, you really notice that kind of thing when I was up in the PA box, and you can see exactly how everyone's lined up.
This one's going to be popped up. I'm trying to see who's going to be calling this one off, and dropped in by Joe Anderson. Nobody's at second. Heads up play there by Jackson to take second. Almost could have gotten real crazy and rolled around to third. You had Eckerly, Anderson, Gage all coming together as we're watching this replay. It looks like Anderson called him off, but just a little bit ran out of real estate. Canty was out there as well, and then all of a sudden you have nobody covering second base.
Strange play there. That ball was up there a long time, and it took the outfielders a long time to get to it and make attempt at it, and it seemed that no one took control on that one, so a little lack of communication on Eagan's part.
And it looks like the official score gave that one a hit because Anderson nobody touched it. But Madiman does his job, comes back with a fastball to the shortstop Jackson Thornburg for first pitch strike as he fouled that one off.
Yeah, you're right. Good base running by Ben Jackson on that one, knowing that second base wasn't occupied by any fielders.
Yep. And I feel too that that's just something I'll get to it here in a second. Bunt drop down. This can be fielded by Lunenborg. Throw to Havari in time. That's going to send Jackson over to third. I will say, what I've noticed lately the last few years, and then also seeing it trickle all the way down to the high school level, and I'm not saying it's a direct, result of it, but, seeing a lot of the, whether it's YouTube highlights, TikTok highlights as we're going to watch this bunt here. Nice job by Lunenborg to get it to Havari. But, seeing some of these guys that are taking extra bases, coming around, to third, and then nobody's at home, and then they charge into home. I feel like, players and coaches are seeing that, passing that along, and making these runners even more of a heads-up player.
Yep, I think you're right. I think you see some town ball teams kind of do that at the youth level.
Sure.
Where they're taking extremes to that.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll send kids on a ball barely out of the infield.
Correct.
And just counting on bad throws from youth. But maybe that does translate up until they get to this upper high school level.
First baseman Chase Walker now in, quickly now 1-2 by Madiman. Yeah, and you even see some of those coaches that try the old trick of jog down to first on a walk and then quickly round and go to second. So another pop fly that's going to drop in for an RBI single for Walker. That'll bring in Jackson to tie it here at 2s. So Madiman pitching well. They're not hitting them hard. I mean, that one was just in no man's land, and then the first one, just was in between 4 different defenders by the Wildcats. So that's a hard one to take.
3 hits to the exact same spot in the field. It's just no one there.
Yep. Second hit of the inning for the Eagles. Only 1 down here. Madiman's pitch. Check swing for a ball. Left-handed hitting second baseman Marcus Anderson batting 8th in the lineup with Walker now at first as he picks up an RBI on the day. Fastball swung on and missed. 2-2's our score. Eagles out hitting the Wildcats 5-1. Both teams have 1 blemish on the board for an error apiece. Fastball misses low. 2-1. Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, but somehow they okay, there we go. For a split second, they magically got a second out on the scoreboard.
That's right. I was with you on that one.
Yeah. Heater up high, quickly 3-1. Madiman got to take a deep breath here. As a famous movie once said, breathe through your eyelids, right, Scott?
That's right.
We got to be careful. We can't do too many Bull Durham references because we got to keep it PG on Eagan TV.
What's the right age to show your son Bull Durham? Kind of worried about that one.
I know. Probably more of a high school range, maybe, or say, hey, you graduate now, you can watch it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not horribly wrong, right? It's just
if you can
some language. There's some scenes in there.
Trim it down to the appropriate baseball scenes. It might be a 15-minute movie.
Yeah,
but
that's
you know
just
what?
it. You take out a lot of the comedy, though, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that walk given to Anderson is going to bring up the left fielder Joe O'Brien. We have Walker, who had an RBI single at second. Anderson now at first. 1 down. Madiman's pitch, fastball low and out. Number 9 hitter is O'Brien. So trying to get over to the leadoff hitter, the catcher Max Chamberlain on deck. What did O'Brien do last at bat for us, Scott?
Looks like O'Brien was the victim of that double play last time he was up.
And he hit that to the second baseman Canty.
Correct.
Curveball in there for a strike. So Madiman wants that exact same result here. Get a little ground ball, get the boys fired up into the dugout, ready to hit here in the bottom of the 4th. Tied at 2s on that RBI single by Walker that brought in Ben Jackson. Big swing. Foul back to the mitt. 1-2. 1 out. About 15-mile-an-hour southeast wind. So going from right field straight to the poles, pole to pole basically. You get it up in the jet stream, might have a chance. Fastball misses up. Yeah, it is interesting that the dynamics of the field, right? I mean, 300 to left with the big monster. I think what do they say? That's 30 feet high.
Right.
Do you know? Does that sound right?
It's about that. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
307 only down the right field line. Fast curveball. Checked up.
Yeah. If you're ever interested, you should check out the satellite image of Eagan Stadium.
Sure.
Eagan Wildcat Stadium. It's something to behold. That big monster out there that separates the baseball field from the softball field.
Also protects the softball field in a sense, right?
Yep.
Protects the first baseman, second baseman, and so forth.
And there's a very interesting little corner out there by the scoreboard.
Yeah, absolutely. Misses outside, so nice at bat by O'Brien. Got down early, coax the walk, bringing up the leadoff hitter, Max Chamberlain. Yep, there it is, about 30 feet high, we said. And then as Scott was saying, it goes quickly from that left field, shoots out to 384. So if you can just hit that little nook, right? There we go. If you can just hit that little nook from the monster, that might be the spot on a non-windy day. Then we have the scoreboard, and kind of a makeshift batter's eye. Looks like it's has different plaques that have been painted on over the years.
I think we do need to invest a little spray paint, I'm just saying. I remember a few years ago when they did refresh the paint on the big monster. And then all of a sudden you could really see the balls that hit it.
Yes, you can almost see like the marking of it, right? Yeah, and then deep to right center, probably one of the deeper right centers you're going to find at 385. So Madaman, 1 out, bases loaded. The leadoff hitter is Max Chamberlain, the catcher. We got Walker on third. We have Anderson at second and O'Brien at first. Eagan trying to blow up this inning, tack on a few runs for their starting pitcher, Riley Jensen. Miles Jensen, sorry. Riley Jensen is a town ball player from start. I'm thinking town ball already. Southern Minnesota town ball already is on my mind. 1-1 count, 1 out.
Speaking of Bull Durham, do you ever play in town ball, have that conversation of what to get a couple for their wedding?
Every so often we do talk about it. I mean, utensils are good, right? Kitchen set.
Candlesticks.
Candlesticks work? Yeah, for sure. Yep. I mean, as long as the first baseman doesn't have a voodoo on his glove, I think we're good. 2-1, fastball up. Quickly 3-1, so Madaman struggling to find the zone. I think we're going to see our first action in the Wildcat bullpen here as well. 2-2's our score. Big pitch here for Madaman to the leadoff hitter Chamberlain. Misses low, going to walk in Walker. So second run of the inning. So far Apple Valley does have 2 hits. Bases loaded here. Brings up the second Chamberlain, Leo Chamberlain. I'm not going to assume that they're brothers, but
I'd like to see the side-by-side.
Right. Going to bring out pitching coach Luke Degremont. Talking through. I think we have the action in the bullpen. Looks to be Ben Shilgan. Ben is a sophomore. Ben must have a lively arm because Ben threw, let's see here, he threw yesterday and on Tuesday?
He did.
And he threw Saturday.
Yeah, he made an appearance on Tuesday.
He didn't throw yesterday. I'll take that back. Not yesterday, but Saturday, Tuesday, and then potentially today.
Yeah, he threw well against Burnsville the other day.
Yes. There's Coach Butler as he's taking a look at the roster here, planning ahead some moves. So big pitch here early on if Madaman can throw that first pitch strike. It's always interesting, the batting approach, Scott. If they always say too, after a walk or two, be ready to hit that first pitch. It's more likely it's gonna be a fastball over the middle. But you have to make sure that you can control it, right? You can handle it. So
yeah, it's somewhere in between. Let's see if the pitcher can find his control, and let's be aggressive at the first pitch offering.
Fastball is in there for a strike. Looks like the take was on by Coach Hendrickson, head coach of the Eagles. 0-1, 1 down. Eagan playing corners in. King and Havari playing for the ground ball and to get the force out at home. Canty and the shortstop Eckerly playing middle depth for a double play ball to try to get out of this inning. Outfield again, once again, like Scott said, shaded a little bit towards right center. Even Joe Anderson playing quite a bit off the line.
Very much.
1-1 pitch, low. We have Anderson on second, O'Brien on, Anderson on third, O'Brien on second, Chamberlain, Max on first. Leo Chamberlain at plate. In there for strike, 2-2.
Chamberlain very active in the box.
Yeah.
As he's prepping for this pitch.
Absolutely. I think he's just trying to annoy Madiman, right? Or any pitcher for that matter. Chamberlain, the center fielder. Nice job of Lunenburg. Keep that in front quickly, though. Now another 3-2 count. So Madiman stayed away from those high-pitch counts in the first and second. And even in that first inning, giving up those 3 hits, you know, he stayed away from high ball counts. Now he's running into trouble here in the 4th.
Yeah, number of balls in the dirt in the last couple at-bats.
3-2's our score. Apple Valley out hitting the Wildcats 5-1. Fastball. Ooh.
Just a
Where's
hair
that?
inside.
Walks in a run. That's the 3rd one of the inning for the Apple Valley Eagles. Bringing up the number 3 hitter, the pitcher, Miles Jensen. Yeah, I didn't miss by much, but that zone has been tighter at times here today. To both sides. Madiman looks in for the pitch. Shilgren getting loose in the pen. Fastball up for a strike. So it looks like he wants to call it, you know, he's not afraid to call that strike up on a fastball, but he doesn't want to really call that inside strike.
No, I think you're right. That didn't seem much different than the previous pitch.
1 down, top of the 4th. Big swing. Quickly 0-2. The big key here is to get something that Jensen can chase for Madiman, not throwing something over the dish, as Jensen at worst wants to get a sac fly to the outfield to bring in another run for his cause. Fastball inside corner, the punchy. 2nd out of the inning. Little pitcher on pitcher crime right there as Madiman strikes out Jensen, the opposing pitcher for the Eagles.
Nice comeback by Madiman. A little frustrated by some of the calls he didn't get the previous at-bat, but didn't waste any time going right after that hitter.
So Force at any base now with 2 outs. The designated hitter is Ryan Christensen. Curveball, outside corner for strike. Did Christensen have that RBI in the 1st inning, or was that somebody else then? My guy ahead.
That was Christensen.
Okay, so Christensen's got an RBI as well. That was a sac fly, I believe, to center. 0-1, 2 down. Popped and foul on the right side. Vari. Oh. So that wind held that one in, Scott. I was already looking down thinking that ball was going to be, you know, over by the track and field.
Yeah, the old baseball coach in me was about to yell out, but Havari stuck with it. It almost came back to him.
Yeah. That blew me away how much that thing hung in there. I mean, he hit that thing up in the air quite a bit. I thought that was well past the dugout. Quickly 0-2. 2 down, 4-2 is our score, top of 4. Ball hit out to right. This one's a hot shot. Eddie Moore's got a bead and makes the play for the 3rd out. So Apple Valley in the 4th, they do attack and get 3 runs on 2 hits, no errors, 3 left on. Our score is 4-2. Back in 60 seconds for the Wildcats at bat here on Eagan TV.
I'll see y'all.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
You gotta stop with that depression stuff. That's what white people think. You all right?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear. Call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
See, Smokey thinks I'm funny.
Back here at Wildcat Park, Casey Lux joined by Scott Sethny, who has a son on the sophomore squad, Andrew. So we appreciate Scott stepping in. Matchup between the 3 and 5 in the South Suburban Conference Apple Valley Eagles and the 2 and 6 Eagan Wildcats. So a big matchup for both teams, right?
Absolutely.
As we saw the standings earlier, Eagan in the 9th slot and the Eagles, I think, was in the 7th slot in the South Suburban Conference. First pitch swinging, senior shortstop Eckerly, base hit up the middle to greet Jensen in the 4th. Senior left fielder Joe Anderson now steps in, reached on a walk his last at bat. Sounds like DJ Strop has got the music cranked up a little bit more here in the 4th.
Some of these guys picked out their walk-up music. Some of them haven't picked for them.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. Heater up high. And I forget the app. It's actually kind of a genius idea. It's it's some type of sporting app where just basically you can add voice to the first 10, 15 seconds of a song.
Yep. Pre-cued music, so it just gets the
clean version, of course.
The clean version, yeah, yep.
Clean version, of course.
Won't get into a music these days kind of rant, but you got to make sure that these guys know what they're putting on the putting on their walk-up song.
I mean, I'm a guy that grew up in the 90s and 80s and so forth, but I mean, I would be perfectly fine listening to 60s and 70s, even some Frankie or some Dino every once in a while mixed in too.
Well, every now and then Connor plays a song from the 80s, and I'm a little bit surprised, but he's like, oh yeah, gotta love some Dire Straits. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
You know Dire Straits?
I think it trickles back, right? I think good music is always good music.
Sure.
It's going to stand the test of time. So, I think what you do find is, as I don't have kids, but like in your case, they don't want to say they like the music you listen to, but then I bet you, in a few years or whatever, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I think you're listening to the same playlist as mine.
Yeah, you hear the retro craze, everything comes back around, so yes, all of a sudden they're listening to 70s music again.
Right.
It's kind of crazy.
So Anderson at the plate, quickly 3-1. Eckerly at first pitch, swinging hot shot up the middle for a base hit for Eckerly. Wildcats down 4-2 here in the bottom of the 2nd at Wildcat Park. Heater, big swing, popped out to center. Chamberlain's got a beat, only had to take about a few steps to his left. Retires Anderson for the first out of the inning, bringing up the right fielder, Eddie Moore. Eddie, what did he have last time? A walk as well?
So Eddie sacrificed last time, brought those runners over to second and third.
Yep. First pitch, got the bunt down. And I will say this too. I think Scott, you understand it too from watching whether it's your sons play or high school baseball in general. Guys that can get bunts down are going to find themselves getting more and more at bats.
Yeah, and you see these left-handed hitters that if they could master that drag bunt, that's an effective tool.
Nice scoop by Thornborg, but somehow Eckerly
looks like he slid around the tag.
I was going to say, nice throw by Chamberlain too. A nice one hop, a good scoop.
Yeah, throw was on, ball beat him, but it looks
Scott,
like
they got you. Oh yeah, I think he just got that foot in. Yep, tag was up a little high. Nice work by Ken on the replay booth in the truck, as well as our camera crew, Sarah, Nick, and Jared, capturing that live action. But yeah, I think, getting back to, bunting, yes, it can be a little bit of a lost art. We know that obviously college and the pro game has gone away from bunting. They think of it as a wasting an out. I get it, whatever. But at the same time, moving those runners over, living for another pitch, putting the ball in play, errors happen, right? Funny things happen in baseball. Because what you see is too many missed bunts, right? And then now that hitters now all of a sudden 1-2, or he pops it up and that turns into a double play. 2-1 count, one down to Eddie Moore. Heater up high. Nice job by Chamberlain corralling that high pitch. Eckerly at second as he grabbed another stolen base. Is that Eckerly's second stolen base of the day?
I think that is, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I think when I mentioned when I was coaching kind of youth, you see somebody who can handle the bat and has speed, you want them to know that they've got a green light if they want to try to bunt for a hit.
Yep.
So know what to look for. Know to look where's that third baseman set up?
Well,
is that pitcher fading off to the left or right?
Yeah, and the Eagan faithful have seen a lot of drag bunts over the year from the speedster center fielder Gio Anderson.
Exactly.
The lefty would drop him down all the time. Swinging here is Moore out to O'Brien. O'Brien looks like he had not only the wind, he also had a little bit of the sun in his eyes there.
A little bit. He battled with that one all the way into his glove, but he stuck with it. Stuck with it
for a big second out. And I'll bring up the leadoff hitter, Tate Gage. I'll get into Gage's stats here because we didn't get a chance to run through him early on. 281 on the season, 361 on base percentage, leading the team with 4 doubles, and he had 2 doubles in their win over Burnsville with 4 RBIs in that win. Big hook for a strike. Lead the team 7 RBIs, so your leadoff hitter is leading the team on RBIs, meaning that the guys in the bottom lineup are getting on for him. 7 runs, and coming into today was 6 for 7 on stolen bases. Another curveball, just misses up on a area of the plate that Madiman and Jensen have been wanting all day.
That's exactly right. Those 2 pitches didn't seem all that different.
I'm going to be careful not to talk too loud because I don't want to get tossed out, Scott, and then you're going to have to do the game.
I was wondering, just because we can hear each other, I assume the umpire can as well.
Not too much. We're not talking that loud. We're not talking that loud. 1-1 count, 2 down.
So players have different philosophies on hitting. I know you probably did back in the day as well. Were you a first pitch swinging kind of guy?
That's a good call. Big swing there by Gage. We'll see if that one holds up for Selly. And a second diving catch by Selly. Give that guy a golden glove after today. 2 big grabs by Selly, erases the threat by the Wildcats. The Wildcats, no runs on 1 hit, no errors, 1 left on. 4-2's our score, back in 60 for the top of the 5th here on Eagan TV.
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org. Donating pet food can keep families together. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
Casey Lux, Scott Sethny here, top of the 5th. We're going to look at the upcoming coverage on Eagan TV. It's a busy one today. No, excuse me, not today. Upcoming, though, boys volleyball, Apple Valley at Eagan, Thursday, May 2nd, 4:30. Softball tournament coming up May 4th at 2:30, 7 different teams. And then you got a May 6th game of Rosemont at Eagan, 6:30 start. So a lot happening on Eagan TV, Eagan Sports as well. New pitcher comes in now for the Wildcats. So book is closed on Madiman as he went 4 complete. And this will be the sophomore Ben Shilgin, excuse me. 3 different outings this year, so 3 games pitched, 4 innings. He does have that 1 win. And then for him, he has 3 strikeouts, 6 walks, 3 earned runs on the season. But being called upon quite often here as he's already seen his 4th outing of the season in game number 10.
Well, Casey, I don't know how Eagan TV does it, but I think we're going to see a lot of views out of the Mason Selly household after these 2 diving catches that he's put in thus far today.
I think so too. I think that's going to be part of the highlight tape. Be played at graduation at some point at the reception. Not sure what year Mason is, but excellent work in right field. I mean, it's one thing to make those diving catches, another thing to do it when you're battling up against a 14-mile-an-hour wind that's going, from right field to left field. So impressive work on 2 big plays by Selly and Wright. Shilgren, hot shot down the line, gets past King. We're going to see if Jackson's going to try to turn that into a double, but he's going to jauntily go down to first for a single. That's the 6th hit of the game for the Eagles.
Yeah, as we noted, playing way off the line over there, and that one probably catchable if he's playing at a normal position.
Yeah,
but
and it was hit hard too. So I mean, he would have had to play at first, obviously. Nice job by Joe Anderson, though, to get over there and corral it. Keep Jackson to only a single. Left-handed hitting shortstop is Jackson Thornburg. So you go Ben Jackson to Jackson Thornburg.
Jacksons and Chamberlains all over the lineup.
Bo Jackson fans between those two families, right? Sophomore pitching, Ben Shilgan. Heater low for strike. 4-2's our score. Eagles out hitting the Wildcats 6-2 on the scoreboard. An error on each side. Top of the 5th, game moving right along. Big swing by Thornburg. Fouled off.
Casey, I love me a good Bo Jackson reference. And speaking of retro, I think kids these days really should take a look at what Bo Jackson did back in the day. Pretty remarkable. I had my son read the Bo Knows Bo book.
Yep.
And, just incredible story, but, one of the most amazing athletes I've ever seen.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to watch this foul tip. I think he might have caught the he caught the back foot, not the shin guard of the front foot. 1-2 count. Ben Shilgren on the mound. Jackson at first, and a balk is called as Shilgren didn't come to a complete stop. So Jackson gets to jog down to second. Yeah, getting back to Bo Jackson, I think, the other thing, too, is, some of the, they sound like they're tall tales, whether it's his high school or college stories, even before, everything was being recorded in the NFL and Major League Baseball. Some of the things that he would do, would just be completely amazing. The 500-plus home runs, the days where he would, potentially run like a track meet and then go, run the 100 and then go play, 7 innings of baseball, right?
Exactly.
It's just, if that guy just doesn't have that hip injury, we just don't know what kind of career. I feel like on the football side is where, he would have, overly shined, had probably a better chance as a Hall of Famer than on the baseball side. He could obviously crush a baseball and he had a strong arm. He could play left and center. But on the football side, if he doesn't get hurt, he was in the prime of his running back days.
Yeah, he was intimidating, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Fast as the wind.
Yep. With all the power.
Yes.
Yeah. 2-2 count. Chilgren on the mound. Relief of Madaman here in the top of the 5th. Ball misses. And that's going to send Jackson over to third. So Jackson reaches on a base hit to left. Slides over, jogs over to second on a balk. Then moves over to third on a pass ball, all during the at-bat for Jackson Thornburg, the shortstop. And now it's a 3-2 count. Infield in as they're trying to cut off that run to keep it a 2-run deficit. Big swing, foul down the line. But foul. 3-2's our count. Sophomore Shilgren, the relief pitcher for the freshman Madaman. Madaman tagged for 4 runs. Can't be 100% if they all were earned, Scott. Maybe one of them was unearned. Nice pitch by Shilgren, but battled off nicely by Jackson Thornburg.
It's like the infield's way in. They want to knock down this runner at home if possible, or keep him there.
After giving up those 3 hits in the first inning, Brendan did a nice job. He cruised through the second and the third, and then it was that 4th inning where walks, some high ball counts. Ball 4 gets past Lundenborg as Jackson comes in for the 5th run of the day for the Eagles.
A new pitcher, unfortunately, some of the same results. Some of these balls getting in the dirt. And that one, got away from Lundberg.
Chase Walker, the first baseman, steps in. What's Walker done on the day here, Scott?
So Walker has a ground out and a single up the middle. He's one of those soft line drives that end up in no man's land right in the middle of the field.
Fastball on the outside. Fastball is out. Ball 1. Jackson Thornburg, shortstop at first. Still no action on the Eagles bullpen, so it looks like Jensen will be coming out for the 5th inning. And as we were speaking earlier, Jensen was one that had the high ball counts and throwing the walks early on, and has came back strong here. Even in that 3rd inning when he gave up the 1 run, he was able to limit the damage.
Yeah, he's had a couple of quick innings the last couple,
Yeah.
so they're going to keep him out there and see how long he can last.
Top of the 5th, 5-2 is our score. Ben Shilgren, ooh, nice. Oh, I was going to say he had him leaning, and then he overthrows Havari, and that's going to send Thornburg to second. He did catch him leaning. It's a strong throw to the plate, maybe have gotten him picked off.
He was leaning pretty heavily, and
Yeah.
maybe that's what got Ben a little excited on that one.
Yeah, you can see on that replay a little bit, even though that pole kind of blocks our view a little bit. Had him leaning towards second. High throw to Havari, and I mean, Havari's a tall guy, so if it's a high throw, it's up there, right?
That's a good point.
Havari playing in for the bunt now, quickly 2-1. Nobody down, top of the 5th. 5-2 our score. Apple Valley plated one. All in one at bat was Jackson able to cruise around the bases, and he came in to home on a pass ball 4. Popped up. This was going to be to Canty for the first out of the inning. Bring up the number 8 hitter, Marcus Anderson, the second baseman. Anderson's second at bat or third at bat?
This
third
is number 3 for him.
Okay.
Was hit by a pitch and walked. So.
Okay. That's right. He's the one that got that first pitch hit by pitch.
So technically no at bats, but we'll see what he has to do in this one.
On base percentage through the wazoo, as they would say today. Thornburg at second, reached on a walk. Shilgren's pitch, low, inside for a ball. And this is kind of what we're talking about, Scott. This is that moment of the week for Eagan to, mentally be focused, mentally be tough, and battle through as you're in the 5th inning. And as we said, this is the 4th game of the week, the 5th game in 6 days, as they played on Saturday.
Yeah, always. Not only you're looking up at a team in the standings that you want to catch up to, not only is it a neighboring town that you obviously have a rivalry with, but just wanting to play your best ball and not give in to just the schedule kind of beating down on you.
Exactly. Heater up high, swung through by Anderson. And the bat, as we said too, as we talked about the Wildcats, I mean, the bats have came alive since Saturday. So, they're wanting to keep this thing within 3 runs because they know that all it's going to take is one big inning. Up the middle, off the glove of Canty as he tried to backhand it. That's going to bring in Thornburg for the 6th run of the day, 2nd of the inning. I would think that that would be considered a single on the scoreboard. It would have been a tough play, even if he does field it cleanly. Yeah, and they do give him a single. Even if he does field it cleanly, it would have been a tough play to turn around and get him at first, right? As you can
I'm with you.
see this replay here. Just kind of jumped up on him in the last second.
Yeah, I'm with you. Left-handed hitter, looks like he's got some speed.
Yep.
That would have been a tough play for Canty if he comes up cleanly.
Some action starting up in the bullpen. I think it is the new call-up, Drew McShane, getting loose as Luke Degermont, the pitching coach, goes out to speak with Shilgren. Also give his reliever some more time in the bullpen as well. Be the number 9 hitter, Joe O'Brien, the left fielder, will be coming to the plate. 6-2 is our score as Apple Valley's come to life here. Their bats got 3 in the 5th, or in the 4th, and now 2 so far in the 5th with only 1 out.
Once again, not hitting the ball real hard, but hitting the good spots.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, both in the 4th inning, they got 3 runs on 2 hits. Obviously, a lot, some of those other runners were, due to walks. And then so far this inning, 2 runs on 2 hits. But, a balk, 2 pass balls, move those runners over pretty quickly.
Yeah. I think defensively, we're not doing ourselves any favors on the Eagan side.
Yeah.
I think allowing runners to get out of double play considerations,
exactly.
That hurts a little bit.
Okay, so we got O'Brien here against Shilgren. First pitch swinging as Anderson took off. Gage makes the catch. See how that throw is to Vari, the double up. So here's one for your scorebook. That one's gonna go F9 to 3. You don't see that very often. Strong throw and on target by Gage. So 2 runs on 2 hits, no errors, nobody left on. Back in 60 seconds on Eagan TV for the Wildcats' bottom of the 5th lineup.
You know you don't have to wear your PT gear anymore, right?
It's comfortable.
So how's civilian life treating you?
It's fine.
When I got out, I didn't want to admit that there was anything wrong because I felt like a failure. And then I realized, like, there's nothing to be ashamed of. So I started talking to someone. Maybe you are fine, but if you're not, it's okay.
Thank you.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Here, Casey Lux with Scott Sethny. Bottom of the 5th as the Wildcats look to rally, down now 6-2 as the Apple Valley Eagles have plated 3 runs in the 4th, 2 in the 5th, and a big play by the center fielder, Tate Gage. Fly ball caught out in center field and able to double up Jackson Thornburg, who was taking off, Marcus Anderson that was taking off, stealing on the pitch. Walk us through this.
Looks like, he got a good jump, Marks did, and actually rounded second base, had to touch up before he came back to first. So obviously didn't track the ball after he heard the hit, didn't catch up with his coaches. So he ended up in no man's land after turning, making the turn towards third. Yeah, strong throw by Gage. And, what I was mentioning to Scott in between innings was that, a lot of times when that happens, you do see it happen from time to time, but usually that center fielder gets so excited that it's an airmail over the first baseman or even a bad, one-hopper. So a nice, strong throw. Will Mitchell, the second hitter in the lineup, the designated hitter today, will step in. So Eagan does have their 2, 3, 4, so they got their big hitters coming up. Jensen's still on the mound here in the bottom of the 5th. First pitch, heater. First pitch swinging, grounder to Thornburg. Scooped up cleanly to Walker, foot off the base. Walker said, I had my pinky toe on that corner. But the ump said, no, you didn't, sir. Throw actually did take him off the base.
And it was up the line, right? So it was up towards the right fielder, up that first base line.
Doubtful he came back on it, but pulled him off. And again, credit Mitchell for hustle on that one. Made it close.
And Walker did make a really nice stretch there, but he probably did get his foot back in time, but by then Mitchell was already there. So it looks like the official ruling, Scott, was a error on the throw.
Yeah, I would agree with that ruling.
Absolutely. So Lunenborg over at first. Jensen's not afraid to throw over to first as he had a pickoff previous inning or 2 innings ago.
Yeah, we've seen he's got a pretty quick move over there, so runners should be aware of this. Make sure he's going home.
Big swing, gets past third baseman Jackson for another hit. So Lunenborg's got 2 of the 3 hits here today. And as I mentioned yesterday, had 3 hits as well. So a hot bat for the catcher, the sophomore. That'll bring in the courtesy runner Jackson Dwyer. So Mitchell at second, and now Dwyer will be at first running for Lunenborg. Nobody out. First baseman Tony Avare just got past, I think, the glove side of Jackson.
Yeah, stung hard, playable ball, but again, hit that hard. Not much time to react over at third.
I still have this bar in the way, and I feel like anytime there's a ground ball, I can't see where it is. Curveball misses up. I'll tell you a funny story real quick, though. So, and I'm glad you mentioned it. So, as we watched that last play, that double play, Anderson was taking off for second, rounded second, and as you said, you have to reestablish, right? So fastball misses up. So, but what we mean by reestablish is if you go past second, you have to touch second again before you go back to first, right? Well, I've heard some stories of the kids back in the day that would be, going from first to third or first to third and rounding third. And then you hear about the kids that would just try to cut across the grass of the diamond to go back to first, take the shortcut.
I've seen that take place. I have to admit, I've seen them almost trip over the mound as they're heading back to first.
And I can't say that this is, we're not saying that this is a little league thing. We're saying that this has happened, in all levels. Curveball gets past Chamberlain, moving up the runners. Mitchell to third, Dwyer to second, 3-1 count. So Eagan trying to knock on the door here to have a big inning. Bottom of the 5th, down by 4, 6-2 is our score. we're starting to see our first action in the bullpen, and that's number 15, Drew Raymer. And I mentioned to Scott prior to the game, too, Apple Valley bitten up a little bit by the injury bug. Fastball in there for a strike. 2 of their guys on their varsity bench are out right now injured, so technically they only have 3 guys on their bench of active players.
Thin squad. I don't know if they brought anyone up from their junior varsity or sophomore teams, but
big swing by Ivare for a strikeout. So nice job by Jensen. Got that count up to 3-2, and the heater got past Ivare. Aiden Canty steps in. 2 RBI game on Tuesday in that 11-1 win over Burnsville. Coach Butler's going to use a timeout, talk to the runners, make sure everybody's on the same page, as it's vitally important to try to get a run or 2 here to lessen that deficit. Would also be interesting too, Scott, is if you do see, a pitching change, does that turn into a massive position changes and moving everybody around, or is it just going to be a simple pitcher for pitcher type of change? I'm thinking that Jensen's going to go somewhere because he's batting number 3 in the lineup,
if you have your number 3 hitter out there, odds are they're going to want to keep him out there. But again, maybe with a thin bench, that's why they're kind of leaning on him a little bit longer than they have been.
Yep. And as we mentioned too, he got through a pretty quick first inning. No, first inning Eagan had bases loaded, I believe, and he got out of it.
He did. They got the bases loaded, got out of that one with a couple of strikeouts and a ground out. Then the second is where he started walking more players. By the third inning, he had calmed down a little bit, started to get in a little groove until he got in some trouble here in the fifth.
Yep. So Eagan scored 1 in the second, 1 in the third, but Jensen's been able to minimize the danger. And as we said, that first inning, he had bases loaded, nobody out. Curveball swung on, base hit, RBI for Canty. Brings in Mitchell. Dwyer held at third. Ball's gonna get past. Dwyer's gonna take a look, but he's gonna stay. Canty's gonna go to second. Stay out of that double play, Scott. Now you have Canty at second, Dwyer at third. Mitchell came in to score. 6-3 now is our score. Second hit of the inning, RBI for Canty. Now he's gonna be tied for the team lead with 7 RBIs on the season with junior center fielder Take Age.
Nice piece of hitting by Canty and good base running. That ball on the throw home got away from the catcher, but not far enough to really advance the runner anymore.
Fastball's up. Yeah, smart play by Canty of just watching the TV, as some coaches say, and keeping the game in front of you, right? Scooted over to second, stays out of that double play. 1-0 pitch, low. Dwyer had a big jump, was ready to come home.
It's a nice block by Chamberlain, getting a hold of that one.
Absolutely.
That one was way outside the zone.
Nope, absolutely. Great job by Chamberlain. 6-3 is our score. Wildcats doubling up their hits here in the 5th inning. Lundenborg with a hit, Canty with a hit. Heater on the outside corner, 2-1. Senior shortstop Eckerly on deck. He has a single on the day as well. Theo King is our hitter, third baseman. At the plate, a junior. 3-1 count. King 375 on base percentage, 4 for 4 in stolen bases as well on the season. Heater, ball 4, to the dismay of Jensen. Bases are loaded. 6-3 is our score. Coach Hendrickson's gonna call time, and that's gonna be the end of the day for Jensen. We're gonna keep an eye on where he goes, as Drew Raymer will come in to pitch for the Eagles. Let's before we send it to the truck, we'll just keep it here. I want to keep an eye on our movements, so that way we have it all in the book figured out here. So it looks like Raymer will come in, potentially have to hit for himself. Coming out of the game is the second baseman Anderson.
It's like Jensen heading out to the outfield.
Yeah, so I think in your book there, Scott, will be Drew Raymer will be in the place of Marcus Anderson. And then it looks like they're going to bring in O'Brien to second. So I have to keep up here on my sheet so I don't say the wrong names here. O'Brien's going to come into second. I think Jensen's going to go to center if I'm not. No, keep Chamberlain, so I bet you Jensen's going to left. You got all that?
It's a good thing they have numbers on their jerseys. I think it seems that half the Apple Valley team goes to the same barber. So
right.
They've all got the wings that are coming out of the hat.
I know. It's like hockey season never ended, right?
That's right.
All right, so we're going to have a new second baseman, and that's going to be O'Brien. He's going to come in from left field to second. Looks like Jensen's going to get a little – oh, no, I thought he was going to get a glove switch. You know, get away from that pitcher's glove to my outfield glove. But no, we need the shades. I need to look fresh out there in the outfield.
Well, he's got the flow already, so yes, the shades will absolutely help.
And as we mentioned, I mean, you know, there was a thought that the walks would catch up to him, and they somewhat did. But you know, for Eagan, you know, they jumped on early pitches, you know, here in this fifth inning, you know, early in the count.
It seems to be the change in philosophy over the last couple innings. We saw a couple of guys go right after that first pitch and have some success with it. So maybe they started realizing that deeper in the pitch count, he's going to be wanting to locate that first pitch.
So updating the Apple Valley Eagan defense, you're going to have Miles Jensen's going to be out left. You still have Leo Chamberlain at center. You still have the Gold Glover Mace Selly in right. You got Ben Jackson at third. You got Jackson Thornburg at short. Joe O'Brien now at second. And then the first baseman is Chase Walker with the catcher Max Chamberlain. Our new pitcher is Drew Raymer. And if he does bat for himself, he'll be hitting in the 8th spot, replacing Marcus Anderson. So hopefully you got all that mouthful there. Truck, you don't need to get any of those in your book. There's graphics. Ken, or Savina, no need to get those in the graphics. Eckerly down the line past Jensen, so Jensen goes from the mound and has to chase one down in left. Eckerly has a single on the day, bases loaded, a chance to add some RBIs to the season total, as he has 3 on the season. So one swing, he could double that up there, Scott.
That'd be a good start. I think it's exactly what they're looking for. And he almost had a little slicing line drive there, but
right.
Again, giving the person that just was removed from pitcher a long run and a little battle with the fence over there.
So we have Jackson Dwyer, the courtesy runner for Lunenburg, who had his second hit of the game here in the 5th at third. Curveball way out. You have Canty at second, who had an RBI single and then took second on the errant throw into home. And then Theo King is at first, who drew a walk, the last batter to face Jensen. Raymer's pitch outside, quickly 2-1. Senior shortstop Ryan Eckerly. On deck, senior Joe Anderson, the left fielder. So Eagan wanted to just keep batting and try to get back to that top of the lineup. Big swing, grounder to the new second baseman, O'Brien, over to Thornburg for the force out. Nice job by O'Brien, as you would know, Scott, not trying to rush himself, just make sure of that first out, give up that one run, but more importantly, get that second out of the inning.
Yeah, no chance for a double play on that one with the left-handed hitting Eckerly up. But he made a good solid play just to get that one out.
Yep, there's the replay. Got over to the side as we watched Jackson Dwyer come in to score. Wasn't afraid to kind of get down on a knee just to make sure that he corralled it. You know, because even if you knock it down, you still potentially have a chance at first, you know, for an out at worst, right?
Yeah, they had their infield playing back, so they were going to sacrifice a run for an out.
Eckerly at first. Strike into Anderson. Now Canty moves over to third. So runners on the corners. 6-4 is our score. Bottom of the 5th. Apple Valley Eagles leading in this South Suburban Conference matchup. 2 down. Drew Raymer in relief of the starter Miles Jensen. Changeup in there for a strike. Chamberlain's just going to let Eckerly cruise on in for a stand-up stolen base.
Delayed steal, I noticed.
Correct.
This in one of the other games, talking with Connor Straub about it. He says that's the planned event to hopefully get in a rundown, steal another run.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's Eckerly's second stolen base of the day. So now you have Eckerly at second, Canty at third, but quickly it's an 0-2 count to the senior Joe Anderson. Fouled off on a late swing. by Anderson. Caught off guard there on a changeup. Kind of floated in this wind.
Everybody kind of stopped for a second except for Canty at third, who was hoping to take advantage of
I know.
whatever that was.
Well, I mean, the ump was obviously on top of it, but I mean, if he'd hit it, he barely nicked that pitch, right?
A lot of sound coming out of that foul ball.
Yeah. 0-2 inside. 1-2. 6-4 is our score. Wildcats so far with 2 runs in the bottom of the 5th. Out hit by the Eagles 7-4. Eagles doubling up the Wildcats with 2 errors to 1 on the scoreboard. Grounder to Thornborg. Thornborg's relay to Walker in time. Big out. Nice job by Raymer to come in and induce 2 ground balls. For the Wildcats, they do get 2 runs on 2 hits. There was that 1 error and 2 left on. 6-4 is our score. Back in 60 seconds for more action on Eagan TV.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/therightseat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
All right, taking a look at the the Apple Valley faithful here for a second on that camera shot. Thought for a second they were going to show our ugly mugs, Scott, for a second, but that's okay. Keep us off the TV, camera crew, Sarah, Nick, and Jared.
Yeah.
Jared, Sarah, and Nick. Tim is our director. Ken is our replay. Savannah is on graphics, doing an excellent job. Now we're taking a look over at the Eagan faithful as well. Ben Chilgren, the sophomore, in relief of Brendan Madiman, who went the first 4 innings. So here we are at the top of the 6th. Game's moving along. Wind's picking up a little bit. And we have the leadoff hitter, the catcher, Max Chamberlain, who will step in.
Faces made for radio, is that what they say?
I think so. But, my mom would probably disagree with that a little bit.
Well,
as she should, right?
As she should.
As she should. Yeah, I got a little New Ulm faithful listening back home. Probably mom, dad, maybe brother, maybe some of his kids, my sister and her 3 boys. There's a hot shot back at us. Make sure I say hi to the godson, Super Sean.
Absolutely.
My sister's middle son, the Connor man, and then Bam Bam is the youngest, Nolan.
Bam Bam.
Bam, that's a nickname
is
for me.
Is that a legit Bat Bam?
It's
a
legit nickname.
All right.
He's a good kid. He's a nice kid. He's just a strong kid.
Oh, yeah.
2-1's our count. 6-4 is our score. Top of the 6th, South Suburban Conference, big matchup. Last game of the week for Eagan. Heater just misses in, 3-1.
I have a 1-year-old nephew that's got the making of a Bam Bam.
Okay.
But I don't think we're quite at nickname territory yet.
And I do see a change that I'll mention here in a second. It looks like we have Alex Tomei at second now. And I don't see Canty. He's more of an infielder, so interesting to know if that's just a defensive change. Canty obviously hitting well. It also could be one of those things too, Scott, where maybe they bring in Tomei to play the field, and then next time that his bat comes up, you never know, they could re-enter Canty to hit. Unless maybe something happened when Canty, I think, came in to score. But 3-2 pitch, Silgren up high, ball 4 to the leadoff hitter, Chamberlain. We'll see if they put him in motion here in the top of the 6th, bringing up Leo Chamberlain, the center fielder. Not what you want after you just score 2 runs, right, Scott?
No, not at all. It's the second walk for Chamberlain, so no stranger being on base.
Yep.
But yeah, starting out that inning with a walk is not exactly what Butler had in mind.
Popped up foul on the bunt, and actually we do have another change to give you too. It looks like Grayson Robbins is in at catcher as well. So we'll see if that's just kind of a move that they made or potential reaction to potentially an injury for two of the Eagan's everyday starters. Chamberlain takes off, can test off Robbins right away, easily in there for a stolen base.
Yeah, he got a good running lead on that one.
Yep.
I don't think there's any chance for catcher to get that one.
Yeah, either catcher is probably not throwing him out there, right? So Chamberlain's at second as Apple Valley looks to tack on some more runs, knocking on the door here. 6-4 is our score. 0-2 count though by Shilgren. Looks to try to make quick work of the second Chamberlain of the Apple Valley Eagles lineup. This is, I believe, Robbins' first action of the season. First time I've seen him behind the plate. Do have a little bit of action in the bullpen. Ball strike to right field, fielded by Moore, and Chamberlain scores. Chamberlain. So two batters equal one run as Max Chamberlain reached on a walk, stole second. Leo Chamberlain with a base hit to right brings in Max, and it's 7-4 here in the top of the sixth.
Good job by Eddie Moore to get over there and stop that ball from getting in the gap, but strong, hard hit ball out there.
Yep. Went with the pitch, outside fastball on the outside corner. Didn't try to do too much, didn't roll over. Starting pitcher today was Miles Jensen. He's been relieved by Drew Raymer. Now Miles is playing out in left field. Shilgren's pitch, fastball misses low. Could have been one of those that if Robbins receives that cleanly, might have been a strike. Looked like it was right at the knees. So across the infield now you have Theo King at third, Ryan Eckerly at short, Alex Tomei at second, and you have Tony Hivare still at first. So Tomei is the new infielder at second, replacing Aiden Canty. Grayson Robbins, the new catcher, replacing Brandon Lunenborg. Jensen the hitter. Shilgren the pitcher. Big swing. And this one does get out of play over the first base dugout. Wind picking up. I think that we're above 14 miles an hour now, huh, Scott?
We had a slight shift in there where it's almost blowing out to left, but now we're coming straight across again. From
yeah, and it's actually kind of tweaking a little bit. It's a little bit more almost straight left, isn't it?
Yeah, I started feeling it behind me.
Yeah. 1-1, throw over to Vari. Chamberlain gets back in time. (7-4) is our score. Eagan cut it to a 6-4 lead, 6-4 deficit in the bottom of the fifth. Apple Valley, nice job of two batters, the Chamberlain, finding a way to manage to put across another run and push that lead from 2 to 3. And we watch Leo Chamberlain get a lead. He's going to take off.
Yeah, had a really big lead on that one and got a running start.
I think they called another balk on Shilgren.
Did they?
Yeah. So that's the second balk, I think, already on Shilgren. And I think both times, I think he just hasn't came to a complete stop when he comes to his set. So no stolen base, unfortunately, for Chamberlain for his stats. Curveball, outside corner, 1-2. Double play taken away on that balk. And I think we still have Drew McShane getting loose in the pen for the Wildcats. So he might be making his varsity debut today at some point. Tomei trying to keep Chamberlain close. Big swing by Jensen. Strike 3. Shilgren strikes out Jensen. Bring up the designated hitter, the number 4 hitter, Ryan Christensen. Had an RBI in the first inning, played in that first run of the day for the Eagles. What else has Christensen done today, Scott?
He's got a couple of foul balls off to right field, so Let's see if Eddie's going to get some more action out there.
Yeah. Hence probably why Tate Gage is shaded over towards right center. Fastball low, blocked nicely by Robbins. South Suburban Conference typically plays their conference games Monday, Wednesday, Thursdays, so they leave Tuesday and Friday as possible makeup days. Fastball in there for a strike. But it is, you know, as we said it, I mean, it's a rarity to see 4 straight games. That game against Burnsville was a washout from the week prior, so that they slid that into Tuesday. They were contemplating to play it, you know, the Friday the week of, and then they actually moved it to play on Tuesday because, you know, you're trying to figure out pitching for all, you know, the full week. Big hopper to Tomei over to Havare. Almost sound like the Fonz there with all those A's. I know I got a chuckle at a Tim on that one in the truck.
Tomei Havare.
Tomei to Avare, hit the jukebox and say, hey. We're trying to have a little fun here today. 2 outs, 7-4 is our score. Casey Luck, Scott Sethny. I think Skip would have really been laughing on that one. I think Skip likes that dry humor I bring. Never even said that one until I got Tomei to Avare. Big swing right back. We saw Chamberlain move over to third, and that was, I don't know if that either hit off the plate or if it hit a little bit off of the mound there, because for a second I thought that was going to take a, you know, a low one hop on Tomei. He came in, he almost feel like it was a pop fly.
Like a pop up. Yep. He thankfully got it before it hit that second hop, or that might have sprung like a super ball.
Yeah, exactly. And what is it, Crediball?
That's right.
Okay.
Oh, catcher took one on that one.
Oh, yeah. Robbins getting woken up here today. Got the shades on, got the earpiece in. He's good to go. I know he plays hockey, I've heard, so he's tough.
Hey, Coach Butler, I'm in the game. I'm not coming out.
I do this. I do this all winter, Coach. Should see me up against the boards. 0-2's our count. 2 down. Ben Shilgren on the mound. Chamberlain at third. 2 hopper to King. Plays off to the side. Relay to Havare in time. Shilgren settles down, but with that, the quick action was the Chamberlain combo. 1 run on that 1 hit by Chamberlain to score Chamberlain. No errors. 1 left on. 7-4 is our score. Back in 60 seconds for the bottom of the 6th on Eagan TV.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
You gotta stop with that depressing stuff. That's what white people think. You alright?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
Wash, washy, wash, washy, wash, wash your hands. Scrub it while you sing this song. Wash, washy, wash, washy, wash, wash. Rub your hands and fingers and the places in between. Using soap and water makes your hands so clean. Wash your hands. Great job, you're almost done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now dry.
Wash your hands for 20 seconds, just like Elmo.
7-4 is our score. Unless I'm missing a run there. 1, 2. 7-4 is our score. Bottom of the 6th inning. Back for more here at Wildcat Park. Eddie Moore. Oh, a lot of more there. Jeez. Number 27, Eddie Moore. He's got a little Leonard Skinner as his walk-up. You heard that, didn't you, Scott?
Interesting. I love it.
Yeah, simple man. So Eddie has the doesn't have the most at bats on the year, but where Eddie shines is the speed, as you know, Scott. He's got 6 runs, and I think most of those are running for the catcher Brandon Lundenborg.
He's got the high socks. I think if you have a high socks,
There
you
you go.
automatically need to be a fast runner.
Right. 1-1's our count. Drew Raymer came in relief of the starter, Miles Jensen. Jensen then went out to the left. Left fielder, there we go. Look at that. High socks, almost the stir-up style look, but just the sock style. And then Joe O'Brien, the left fielder, came in to play second. Drew Raymer did a nice job. Came in with bases loaded last inning. Got a fly ball for an out, or a ground ball, excuse me, for an RBI, a fielder's choice. And then retired that last bit batter to kind of stop that 2-run inning that Eagan had while they were threatening to try to cut that lead. At the time, it was 6-2 going into the bottom of the 5th. Eagan made it 6-4, and then Apple Valley tacked on one quickly in the top of the 6th. Eddie Moore gets a walk on Raymer. So the interesting thing, like Scott and I were speaking towards earlier, is we're going to see the leadoff hitter Tate Gage come up, center fielder. With Apple Valley, I mean, they could technically re-enter Anderson, the second baseman, but now they're technically left down to 2 bench players with their injuries. So if Raymer does, struggle, it'll be interesting to see who the third pitcher is for the Eagles. Bottom of the 6th, nobody out, fastball in there for a strike. Raymer's done a nice job, though, of coming in and controlling the zone, other than that at bat to Eddie Moore to lead off here at the bottom of the 6th. As we said before, Eddie Moore a threat to steal, even down by 3, so we'll see if Coach Butler puts the wheels in motion. Ball low, nice job by Chamberlain. Keep that in front. Quickly 1-1. On deck is Will Mitchell, the designated hitter.
So we're seeing the Eagan batters not take really aggressive approaches with this new pitcher. I think, just from my perspective, kind of has that high elbow on his delivery.
Ground ball going to get underneath the glove of Jackson. So air will be committed. That'll be the 3rd of the day for the Eagles. As that ball scooted below the glove of Jackson, the speedster Gage, more than likely, very well could have beat out that slow roller to third anyways. Will Mitchell steps in, as we mentioned, the hot-hitting Will Mitchell. Give you his stats once again because they're impressive. 444 average, leads the team. 545 on base, only second to fellow sophomore Brody Illa. 6 RBIs, which is second on the team. Fakes that bunt, ball's in the dirt. And I think we will see Lunenburg re-enter and hit. So more than likely that was to dust off Robbins a little bit, just get him some live action behind the plate, right?
That.
Yeah. Well, and you got to keep that backup catcher ready, right? Because as far as catchers go, it's literally one foul tip and the guy could have a broken finger, right? 1-2 count, pitched by Raymer in there for a strike. Excuse me, 1-1 now count. 1-0 was before. Moore at second. Gage at first. 7-4 is our score. Nobody down here in the bottom of the 6th as Eagan looks to rally with their 2, 3, 4 hitters coming up. Raymer's delivery. Big swing. Base hit out to right to Selly. We're going to go station to station as Mitchell. I give out those stats. Now that average is going to keep climbing. So Brandon Lunenburg does come back in now. He will hit. He's got 2 hits on the day. At one point, he had 2 of the Eagan 4 hits. Now he has 2 of the 5 hits.
Probably the exact person you want up here. Good piece of hitting there by Mitchell, kind of going the other way with it, driving that thing into right field.
Yeah, here's the replay for you, Scott. Yeah, didn't try to do too much with it, right? Kind of dumped it over the second baseman's head. Selly, the Gold Glover, quick to grab it and retrieve it back into the infield.
Eagan realizing the wind blowing out towards left field now. Maybe this is the right time to get Lundberg back in the game.
There you go. Is that a call?
Well, I haven't had a call yet, so I might as well make it real, right?
There we go. I like it.
See if you can play some pepper with the Green Monster.
Yeah. Eddie Moore at third. Tate Gage at second. Will Mitchell at first. Raymer's pitch, fastball, outside corner in there, 0-1. You do have a lot of speed on the base pass. I think there'd be a good chance that even on a base hit, it might be a little aggressive to send Gage as opposed to playing it, safe and going station to station. Ball in the dirt. Nice job by Chamberlain to keep it in front and keep Moore at third. 7-4 is our score. Apple Valley out-hitting the Wildcats 8-5. Their true blemish would be the 3 errors on the board compared to the Wildcats 1. Corners playing in, which is Walker at first and Jackson at third. Fastball up. Thornborg and O'Brien, the second baseman. Thornborg, the shortstop, playing back for the double play ball. Thornborg runs well, though, for catcher. 1 for 1 on the year for stolen bases. Big hit to center, but this is going to be tracked by Chamberlain, but dropped. We might have a force out, which we do at second. So a run counts, but a out is still recorded on that drop catch by Chamberlain. So the second error of the inning, but it still is a force out. So in your book, it'll go E8, and then it'll go 8-6 for a put out. My all-conference scoreboarding right there for you. The replay, just kind of, I don't know if the wind caught it, if it was knuckling out to him. The runners did a nice job, right? They froze on the play.
Yeah, not much you can do as the runner at first. You kind of see and expect that he's camped underneath it to make that play. So he wasn't even halfway there.
So 7-5 is our score. We got Gage at third, and then now Jackson Dwyer comes in once again to pinch run or courtesy run. Interesting to see if Dwyer gets in motion to try to get away from that double play. And I think the kids would say that Avari's due, because I think Avari's had a couple strikeouts on the day. There we go. Coach Goodman was just making sure that the rules were being abided by, right? Because as we all know, the dude abides. And some would say that this aggression will not stand, Scott.
Well, that's like your opinion, man.
Exactly. First pitch swinging, shot to Jackson. We're going to see if we get a double. Jackson O'Brien not in time for Avari. Brings in Gage. So nice play, though, there by Jackson. Fielding it cleanly, getting it over to O'Brien. You know, I think what O'Brien was truly trying to do, Scott, is he was trying to make sure that he had his foot on that base. Yeah, he did get his foot on the base, and I think in doing so, then he kind of maybe a little bit tripped himself over the base, wasn't able to get a strong throw to first.
Yeah,
it would have been a tough play because it would have been across the diamond, right? It was a slow roller.
That throw from Jackson took him a little bit off the base and had to gather his feet again.
So Coach Butler going into his bag of goodies here now, Scott. This is a rarity. So Jackson Dwyer all game has been the courtesy runner for the catcher, okay? Now, now what you're seeing on TV, because you don't see this very often, Jackson Dwyer was retired at second at that force out. Now he comes in back into the game as the official pinch runner for Avari, and Avari will re-enter at first. You got all that?
When you have speed, you might as well use speed.
I like it. So things are cooking up here. Now it's 7-6. Eagan now scored 2 in the bottom of the 5th, 2 in the bottom of the 6th. Drew Rayner's pitch. And Dwyer is going to take off. Nice throw. Does he have the ball? Got him! So they send Dwyer on the first pitch. Big throw by Chamberlain. Nice scoop by Thornborg. Tag put down. Eagan gets 2 runs on 1 hit, 2 errors, nobody left on. It's a tight one. 7-6 is our score. We'll be back in 60 seconds on Eagan TV.
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive,
ZWX.
you're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
All right, back here for more action on Eagan TV. Once again, want to thank the crew. Tim, our director, Ken on replay, Savannah on graphics, Sarah, Nick, and Jared. Excellent job on camera capturing all the action, especially some of those diving catches and those close plays at second. New pitcher now is going to be Drew McShane into the game. Unfortunately, Scott, I don't have the scouting report on his pitches, because he just got called up recently. I think Tuesday was his first day on varsity that they brought him up. He's a freshman, so we're going to see what McShane does in his first ever varsity appearance. 7-6 is our score, 8-5 our hits. That's Apple Valley with 8, Eagan with 5, but the blemish on the Apple Valley side is the 4 errors that they do have, and they had 2 last inning that helped Eagan plate 2 runs to minimize that 7-4 lead to 7-6. McShane's first pitch, heater down the middle for a strike. Left-handed hitting shortstop is Jackson Thornburg. Why don't you fill us in what Thornburg's done here today?
So Thornburg started out the game with a walk. Take a look. Hit a ground ball and then another walk, and came around to score in the 5th inning.
Yep, okay, so scored a run. So he's coaxed a few walks, but McShane's starting quick with the 0-2 count. Good pitch, high and on the outside corner, just misses 1-2. That's exactly what you want as a waste pitch when you're up 0-2 to the first batter of the inning. Yep. Trying to get that Wildcats back in the dugout to get heated up for a potential tie or walk-off. Curveball misses. So far we've seen 3 fastballs and then now his first curve of the game. Freshman is Drew McShane. Brandon Lundberg came back in, re-entry for Grayson Robbins. Popped up. We're going to see if this is going to be some action with the wind. It's going to be called off by Anderson and caught for the first out of the inning. And we're going to see Chase Walker, the first baseman, come up. What's Walker's line of the day? We might as well keep filling it in what people have been doing here in the 7th.
Well, odds are good that whenever somebody comes up, there's a walk in there.
There you go.
But actually, Chase Walker has a single on the day. And a couple outs. Had a grounder to short and a pop fly just second base.
Yeah, I think actually Walker was the one that had that hot shot down the third baseline, but knew that it wasn't hit hard enough to try to make it a double. Fastball misses up, 1 out. Here in the top of the 7th. 7-6 is our score. South Suburban Conference action on Eagan TV. Fastball misses out once again.
I like McShane's approach to the first hitter.
Yeah.
Got quick 0-2, threw a couple of waste pitches, and then got him to chase one and pop one out to the left.
There's a heater for a strike. And the other thing too, I mean, he's a freshman. The likelihood is that this is his first ever, outing. Teams haven't seen him. There isn't really a scouting report on him. So everybody's kind of going up there a little blind as the fastball hits the dirt. Now it's quickly 3-1 to Walker. And we saw a bevy of substitutions and switches that last inning. Made your head spin a little bit, Scott.
We did. I'm glad you're keeping a track of this. I didn't know if you were asking me to be the spotter or anything like that. So
Walker gets a walk, and that'll bring up Drew Raymer. Will get his first at bat of the day. Raymer came in the Marcus Anderson slot, the second baseman, but Raymer came in relief of the starter Miles Jensen. We're also going to see a little runner action here. Can't tell what number we got over there.
It's like a number 8.
Yeah, okay, number 8. There it is, Brady Galovich. So Galovich gets dusted off to do some pinch running for the first baseman. More than likely Walker then will just re-enter. 1 down, top of 7, Wildcat Park. Pitch by McShane, popped up. Havari's gonna give it chase, plenty of room. Wind holds it up. Havari makes the play, 1 pitch, 1 out. 2 down here in the top of the 7th for the freshman McShane. It's gonna bring up the number 9 hitter. Let's see, now the second baseman, Joe O'Brien. How about O'Brien's day? Are there a walk in there?
So unfortunately, Joe, odds are good. Joe is hit into the double play in the second inning, and he's also the reason that, well, not the reason, he is the one that was victimized on that double play there in the fifth inning.
Sure. Okay, so he's part of 2 double plays, essentially, is what you're saying. He hit a 4-6-3 double play, and then he was stealing on that line out to that, line out, fly out to center, and then the strong throw by Gage Zavari doubled him up.
Exactly. He does have a walk in there and mixed in the middle.
Okay.
Those two double plays are probably not going to leave a good taste in his mouth.
Ball's hit down the line. I think that's going to stay foul by about 3 feet. The hustle by Eddie Moore. 1-1 is our score, 2 down. Top of 7. 7-6 our score. Big South Suburban Conference matchup. Eagan trying to climb up the standings, as is Apple Valley. Eagan coming in today 2-6 in the conference. Apple Valley 3-5 in the conference. Butler yelling out some signals to send Gage over to right center. Barreled up by O'Brien, but fouled on the third base line. 1-2's our count. If he has a changeup, I think this is the time to throw it.
I think you're right. Chain speed's on him.
See if Galovich takes off, and he doesn't. Curveball swung on and missed. Big strikeout by McShane, and a big first varsity outing for McShane. No runs, no hits, no errors. 1 left on. Come back with us for the bottom of the 7th and see what the Wildcats do. 7-6 our score, back in 60 seconds on Eagan TV.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
How you holding up? Nothing wrong with getting help. If I promise to look into it, will you drop it and help me build this fence? Now you need my help.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Back at Wildcat Park, 7-6 is our score. The Wildcats have made a little bit of a push here, and 2 runs in the bottom of the 5th, 2 in the bottom of the 6th. Trying to see if they can ignite some magic. Try to get not only their 4th win of the season, 4th overall win, but their 2nd walk-off win of the season, Scott. As we both were here for their walk-off against Grand Rapids on Saturday.
Yep, the game that got the streak going. So, yeah, maybe they'll take this momentum.
Canty back in the game, yep. So Aiden Canty. So Tomei came in for potentially defensive purposes. And now Canty comes to the plate. Actually, Tomei was at the plate last inning when Dwyer was thrown on that first pitch.
Right, yeah. So, again, our scorebooks are a mess. We're probably going to be throwing these things away and not putting them in for posterity. But, yeah, Canty back up. He's had a pretty good day today.
Fastball out. Ball 1. Drew Raymer came in relief of the starter, Miles Jensen. Raymer's 2nd pitch, out for ball 2. Canty had an RBI single earlier in the game. We mentioned coming into today was tied for 2nd on the team in RBIs. 2-0 pitch by Raymer, fastball inside for strike.
All the Wildcats up in the dugout. I think they want this walk-off as well.
Absolutely. Theo King, the 3rd baseman, on deck for the Wildcats. Being played straight up by the Eagles. Ground ball to Thornburg. Fielded cleanly. Throw over to Walker in time for that big, all-important first out of the inning. Theo King now, junior, 3rd baseman, will step in. Shortstop Eckerly on deck. See what magic is still left in those aluminum bats here for the Wildcats. Raymer's come in and done a nice job of throwing strikes, staying around the zone. Fastball misses up. And when I say staying around the zone, meaning that he hasn't really kind of thrown too many cookies over the middle in his relief appearance.
He's mixed it up just fine.
Now hitting the outside corner. 1-1 now, count to King. Third baseman Jackson, as well as the first baseman Walker, hugging the lines a little bit. No double defense. Fastball misses. Looks like Chamberlain's playing a little deeper than normal, making sure nothing gets behind him as well in center. 2-1 pitch by Raymer. Big swing. 2-2.
He had a good cut at that one. I think that's one I could see them driving towards left field.
Yep. Yeah, and he's looking fastball there, right? Got one, just was up and Raymer got it past him. Fouled back. 2-2's a count. One out, bottom of the 7th. Apple Valley Eagles leading 7-6 over the home Eagan Wildcats. 2-2 pitch. Swung on, hit out to left. This one has a chance. It's gone! A Wildcat jack for Theo King. Caught a curveball, got it in the jet stream, and we have a tie game, folks. Theo King's first home run of the season. Second home run of the year for the Wildcats as Lundborg hit one yesterday.
Casey, I was really excited to see that thing bounce off the wall, but I think that wind really just pushed it.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to see the replay here. I didn't want to get overly excited. I knew he got it up there. I saw the way the left fielder turned around. We believe the wall's about 30 feet. So it's a 300 out to left. And I think once he got in that jet stream, it just kind of kept it up, right? First pitch swinging is Eckerly. He's going to pop that one up to Thornborg. I'm being blocked by the umpire, and he makes the play. So one pitch, one out. Raymer comes back, throws a strike. Now 2 down. Joe Anderson comes to the plate. I was thinking the same thing, too. I didn't want to get too excited thinking that it was a home run. The way he turned around, I knew that obviously there's a good chance it'd be a double off the wall. But, I mean, I couldn't. With all these poles in the way and the fence, it was hard to see it actually get over the fence. I can't tell you if it got over by a foot or 5 feet.
I was doing the same thing as you. I was watching the fielder, and he was just casually turning around, so it made me think this might have more to it than it looked.
Oh, got us excited there for a second. Our decimals went up a little bit in the truck on that home run tying home run by Theo King. Haven't called one of those in a while. So 1-1 is the count, 2 down to the senior, Joe Anderson. Ball up. On deck, right fielder, Eddie Moore. And I think if Apple Valley is able to get out of this, as it's 3-1 is our count, it will be interesting to see, like we said before, is Raymer the guy that they're going to stick with the rest of the game? Because on the Eagan side, McShane had a very quick 7th inning. So, I mean, his arm is going to be fresh for at least another inning or 2. Change up in there for a strike, 3-2, or count 2 down. 7-7 after those fireworks by King. Payoff pitch. Misses, up and in. Anderson goes to first. Interesting thing here, Scott, will be to see the aggression by Coach Butler, because Anderson is a clean 4-for-4 stolen bases on the season.
Yeah, and with 2 outs and the bottom of the order coming up, it does seem like a good candidate for trying to get him in a scoring position.
Eddie Moore has controlled and handled his bat well today. What's Eddie done? I know he had that sack bunt earlier.
So Eddie had a sack. He also had a walk, which is, again, it's safe to say that almost everyone's had a walk today. He also fouled one off into left field.
Okay. Alrighty, so Anderson at first, we're going to keep an eye on him, so will Raymer. He's going to play a little of the timing game. Across the infield for the Eagles, you have Jackson at third, Thornburg at short, O'Brien at second, Walker at first. Chamberlain is your catcher. Raymer's first pitch to Eddie Moore. Strike on the outside corner. Looks like Raymer is starting to mix in a little bit of that changeup, you know, earlier in the count, right? So that keep them off their toes and off balance at the plate.
He's mixing it up, but we've seen that he's kind of leaving balls up a little bit too.
Ground ball, Thornburg. Thornburg take the short one. No, he's gonna bobble it. It's gonna be an error. It's hard for me to watch here because I keep getting blocked between the catcher and the home ump when I'm watching a ball hit the short.
Yeah, that ball hit the dirt and just died there. It just kind of started rolling as soon as it hit sand.
Yeah,
so
I feel like that's kind of like one of those plays where you almost watch the shortstop kind of think through it, right? I mean, as it was hit to him, you know, I think you could see he was turning to try to flip it over to second for the short one.
Yeah.
Instead of potentially just charging it and just going to first regardless.
He might have looked up and saw where the runner was going towards second and maybe changed his mind just long enough for that to come out of his glove.
Yep. So as we said, that's kind of been the only true, you know, other than the walks for both teams, that's been the biggest blemish for the Eagles is those 5 errors here today. So now you have Joe Anderson, the senior, at second base, senior Eddie Moore at first base. So you got plenty of speed on the bases. You got speed coming up at the plate, and the leadoff hitter, Tate Gage, as well. Tate Gage on the year, 361 on base, 4 doubles leading the team, 7 RBIs before today, 6 for 7 on stolen bases before today, 7 runs scored. Base hit could end it here for the faithful of the Eagan Wildcats. Fastball in the outside corner for a ball. 1-0 quickly the count. Raymer on the mound, pitching to the junior center fielder, Tate Gage.
So you talk about those 5 errors. Tate Gage has hit a couple of balls right over to third base to account for 2 of those errors.
Okay. So quickly 2-0 with the on-deck hitter, the hot-hitting Will Mitchell. And it has seemed to work out, Scott, too. I mean, the bottom of the order has done their job of getting on base and trying to roll it over to that, you know, top and the meat of the order for the Wildcats all game today.
Yeah, you're right. Eddie's done a good job getting on base a couple of times.
Yeah.
Joe's gotten on base a couple of times. That sack.
Yep, Eckerly had a hit. I think he had a walk as well.
Yep.
Obviously, King had the big home run here to tie it.
Yeah.
Theo King, the junior third baseman, 1-out home run over the monster and left. Ball hit to left, base hit, big hop. Joe Anderson coming home, great throw. Not in time. Go crazy, Eagan. Walk off. Tate Gage. Base hit to left. A big hop to Jensen. Jensen showing that arm strength. A strong throw home. And they've almost bang play to Chamberlain as he put it right on the spot at home.
That ball was driven hard, and that's probably the only opportunity that they had of getting that runner at home is that ball was hit so hard. Plus, you guys also have your starting pitcher out there in left field, so you know he's got an arm.
Wow, what a wild 7th inning. Theo King with the game-tying home run to left with 1 out, and then a 2-out rally as Anderson gets on a walk. Eddie Moore gets on an air. And on the third pitch of the at-bat, Tate Gage, the RBI leader for the Wildcats, base hit to left, speed of Anderson rounding third, and then also a great throw by Jensen, but Anderson slides in just in time. Gage had the feeling it was there. Here comes the play. Big slide, but look at that throw from left field. I mean, just half a second or so, a second maybe behind Anderson, who's one of the fastest guys on the roster. Wow, what a game, what a day. 8-7 is our final. I hope you get a chance to check it and you maybe watch it back later on YouTube. But 8-7 is our final. There isn't a whole lot to go over, but we want to make sure we thank Tim, the director, Ken on replay, Savannah on graphics, Sarah, Nick, and Jared on camera. Scott, what do you got here to wrap this thing up?
I just have to say I'm impressed by that last inning. Needless to say, good at bats, but the team didn't kind of get down. They got a couple of outs, but it still struggled through and got a couple of really powerful hits. It's great to see the bottom of the lineup, like you said, get on base and move runners around. And then, goodness, a walk-off win. That's always fun to see. The crowd is really fired up over this one.
Two of the last 3 games on Eagan TV have been walk-off wins for Eagan, and all 3 games, these last 3 games, have been wins on Eagan TV. So I think Coach Butler might be trying to send some envelopes to Eagan TV and have them keep broadcasting these home games. But with that being said, a tough loss, a well-played game by the Apple Valley Eagles as they kept kind of knocking on the door. They scored 1 in the first, 3 in the fourth, 2 in the fifth. They did add an important run in the 6th. On the Eagan side, real quick, and I'll run this down before we get into the upcoming coverage. 1 run in the 2nd, 1 in the 3rd, 2 in the 5th, 2 in the 6th, and then the all-important 2 in the bottom of the 7th to walk off and win 8-7. Here's your upcoming coverage. Boys volleyball next Thursday, 4:30 against Apple Valley travels to Eagan. Softball, 7 teams. They want the rain to stay away. Coverage starting at 2:30 on Saturday. And then boys lacrosse, Rosemont Irish at the Wildcats Monday night at 6:30. We are all set. It's time to go home and watch some NFL draft. For Scott Seltney, I am Casey Lux. Thanking all the crew on Eagan TV. Have a wonderful night, and I'm going to keep saying it. Lastly, go Wolves.